Good morning, folks, and welcome back to another episode of Benzinga's PreMarket Playbook. No opener for me today because, on a personal note, we lost an absolute great yesterday in Ryne Sandberg. I know some of you don't necessarily care about baseball, which is totally fine, but being a Chicago kid named Ryan, who was born in the 80s, this actually hit me quite hard. Little quick personal story. Ryne Sandberg is actually the reason that I am named Ryan. My mother, when she was younger, sent him a handwritten note to the Chicago Cubs. I believe this was in '85, and said, hey, you're such a great player. You're the inspiration for naming my son Ryan, although we wanted to spell it a little bit differently. And Ryne Sandberg, being the class act that he was, actually wrote my mom back. In addition to answering her handwritten note with one of his own, he also included several autographs in that package. This actually happens to be his rookie card. So we had the news yesterday that Ryne Sandberg passed away from his battle of cancer. He was 65. And for anyone that spent time in the Chicago area knows what a great man this was and what a great baseball player this was. So kind of a personal note for me, Ryne Sandberg was 65. Rest in peace. Now, we are going to talk about the market here today. We've got a lot of stuff coming on, or a lot of stuff going on, rather, between earnings, between the Fed, between all of this other stuff. We're going to break it down here. Benzinga's pre-market playbook for Tuesday, July 29th, starts right now. Good morning and welcome back, folks. I hope that you had a wonderful Monday night, and I hope you're ready to go for today and for the rest of the week. A lot of stuff going on out there. We're going to break it down and get you all ready. Great to see a whole bunch of returning faces here today. Peter, good morning. Cool at home in Colorado. Peter, do me a favor. Send some of that weather my way because it is hotter than blazes here in Chicago and also humid. We are supposed to get a reprieve a little bit later here in the week. So hopefully we'll get that there. Good to see you again, Peter. Francis, good morning. Welcome back. Azrar, good morning. Sun-Kissed Yogi, good morning. Welcome back. Zach McCracken, good morning. So no Irish coffee. We're not throwing booze in our coffee. Way too much going on. But I do have some Irish breakfast tea here. I guess we're going to honor the producer in that way. We're ready to go. No booze in that one. Florida Yacht Insurance Guy, good morning. Going to be another hot one here in Florida. I heard yesterday Florida having really serious hot weather. And even for people that are used to it, pretty serious down there. Stay safe. Florida Yacht Insurance Guy. Empyrean, good morning. Good to see you again. EKS, good morning. Welcome back. Pete, good to see you again. Locked in here. Rooster, good morning. Buying UNH. UNH, we're going to talk about that here today. They reported earnings. They went lower. They might be closing that gap. Maybe there's a trade there. We actually have a number of stocks that we might have some trades on. So pretty awesome stuff there. We'll take a look at that. Day Trader, good morning. Dreamer, good morning. Bernhard, good morning. Cat, had to set the old G-Shock alarm. The Casio G-Shock watch. Love it, Cad Monkey. Welcome back. Jane, good morning. Welcome back. 3D, buenos dias. Good morning. Good to see you again. Tyler, good morning. How about CLS earnings? Oh, my gosh. We'll take a look at that here, too. Will it push for, I think you're quite, will it push for 200? Maybe. That stock is absolutely moving here today. Graph, good morning. Welcome back. Quantum, good morning. Welcome back. Day Trader saying he was one of my favorite players. You and me both, brother. He was something else. He was something else. And that game where he hit 2 home runs and they won in the 9th, way back, still watch that when they replay that old game. Booglog, good morning. Welcome back. Jonathan, good morning. Cam, good morning. Thank you, Zach. Thank you, 3D. JJ, good morning. Had Chipotle last night. Is it a buy then? Is Chipotle a buy then? You let me know. I also want to trade Chipotle, but I think I'm still waiting a little bit on that. Jane, I just lost my cousin to cancer too. I'm very sorry to hear that. I'm very sorry for your loss. Cancer's terrible. I, of course, lost my father to that as well back in 2010. So really hits home. I'm sorry for your loss, Jane, but thank you for being here this morning. Kerching, good morning. Well, we will start the momentum early here, Kerchang. Good morning. Buffalo by Bicycle, good morning. Bill, good morning. Brent, good morning. Welcome back. Zoo, good morning. Sassy Butterfly Chick, good morning. Ed, good morning. Dermo, good morning. Joel, good morning. Glass Half Full, good morning. Big Bees, locked in and ready to go. Let's go. Phil, good morning. Blazed Rhino, good morning. Big Bear Hug, good morning. Booglog, good morning. Yasso Fine, good morning. Harley, good morning. Brian says, thank you for what you guys do. I appreciate it. We appreciate you. I'm glad that you find it helpful. I'm glad at minimum you're able to have some fun in your morning here. Really good stuff. Marius, good morning. Gene, good morning. ATL Russ, good morning. Meditation time. Not quite yet, but I'm with you there. Good morning. Cam, yeah, we're absolutely going to be looking at UNH today. No worries there. Tanya, good morning. James, good morning. And FH, good morning. All right, let's go ahead and hit it. Nikhil, good morning. Good to see you again as well. Paulo, good morning. We got the whole crew in here. Austin, good morning. It's good to see you again. All right, let's go ahead, take a look at the SPY here. Then we're going to roll through some news. Don't forget, it's a T3 Tuesday here today, so we are going to have another T3 guest on here shortly. But we are going to start with the SPY. And we had new all-time highs yesterday, and we had a SPY that really just kind of sold off. It was just kind of weak all day. Broader market was just kind of weak all day. Now, today, we did trade higher in the after hours on the backs of some of those earnings reports, and we're pushing a little bit higher here today. Quick look here, S&P futures up almost 0.3 here, plus 0.27%. Dow futures up 0.15%. Dow futures being bolstered here by that comeback a little bit in UNH, as well as the Boeing earnings here. Boeing was trading higher as well. And the NASDAQ futures up 0.5%. So green arrows across the board here today in the futures. We are almost at the 640 spot. I will see if we test that here today. I wouldn't be shocked if we did. We actually did set a higher price in the pre-market yesterday, but did not set that in the regular session. So we'll see if we get that here today. I don't have any other upside targets yet. It's just one of these things where I think we're going to let our winners run, maybe place some trailing stops on it in case the market does turn around. We'll get some of those short-term gains booked, but market remaining resilient. Now, let's take a look and see what's on deck here for today. We do today have the trade balance, and we also have the retail wholesale inventories. It looks like we also have the JOLTS job openings here today. As mentioned, futures here pretty much green across the board. That also includes Bitcoin and Ethereum, which are also up here today. Oil pulling back a little bit after its move higher yesterday. Really energy and technology, the sectors that led yesterday. No IPOs, no company events here today, but lots of earnings and lots of analyst initiations. Now, Sarepta, this is the big one here. Sarepta getting an equal weight from Morgan Stanley, a price target of 20. Sarepta is up 41% here today into a $19 handle. I got a story for that. It's also on the movers list. We'll take a look at Sarepta. Remember, they have been the bearer of bad news recently. That stock has really gotten crushed. Maybe a bottom is put in. We'll see. We'll take a look at all of that. Cadence Designs here, CDNS. Stock is up 8.5%. Rosenblatt giving a neutral rating there and going to 320 on the price target. Stock is currently 362 or thereabouts. Let's see what else we had. Charles Schwab, overweight from Morgan Stanley, 131 price target. That stock's currently at $93. And then we did have a couple of upgrades. I mentioned the which one was that first here? We mentioned the Morgan Stanley one. Oppenheimer also going to an outperform price target of $37. That's almost a double for Sarepta right now. And let's see if there was anything else in here. Albemarle actually getting an underperform from Baird here. Price target 60. This has recently had a bounce. We recaptured the 200-day, looked like it was breaking out. Now we're kind of coming back in from that. We'll see where Albemarle ends up setting up. We also, Zach here mentioning NVO. Look, I'm not sure how I feel about the quote-unquote fat drugs, which we call them here. I'll tell you what, the NVO not working with HIMSS, boy, I wonder if they could have that one back. I wonder if they wish they could have that one back. Not going well for NVO. We'll take a look at that here at some point here today. All right, let's dive into some of the news, get you prepared here for the day before we have our new T3 guest here today. U.S. stock futures rose on Tuesday after ending on a mixed note on Monday. Futures of major benchmark indices are higher. Despite the mixed close, the S&P 500 posted its sixth day of record closing high, and the NASDAQ also notched an all-time high on Monday. The Federal Reserve Open Market Committee's two-day meeting begins today, with all of the fireworks happening tomorrow, frankly, but that meeting does begin here today. That is ahead of the press conference, of course, on Wednesday afternoon. The 10-year Treasury yielded 4.41, so we're still under the 4.5 threshold that we really want to stay under. Two-year bond here at 392. Now, some insights here from some of the analysts. First, senior economist Jeremy Siegel highlighted in his weekly commentary that the U.S. economy is still proving resilient despite global tensions and trade barriers. However, he cautioned that investors should prepare for some economic drag as these tariffs could take hold in the second half of the year. Just a reminder, we really have not seen any type of real pressure from these tariffs. It does make sense, though, that we're kind of keeping that door open and kind of taking a wait and see approach. However, he cautioned, the cumulative inflation impact from tariffs is likely to be modest, perhaps 1.5 to 2% over 2 years, while the GDP drag remains limited and manageable, end quote. He explained that the market has come to terms with this dynamic and continues to look ahead to more powerful long-term forces, particularly the ongoing AI tailwind. We've also done a really good job, I think, here of outlining that we are likely to see some good things in the back half of the year here that the market is going to appreciate. And given the resilience that we're seeing, it sure does seem like the market is looking ahead, perhaps even 6 months, and staying here near all-time highs. Remember, the market is always forward-looking. That should surprise nobody. I think the market rightly assesses this will buoy productivity and earnings. In particular, the immediate expensing provision for capital equipment that came in the One Big Beautiful Bill is meaningful tailwind for corporate investments, counteracting some of the negative tariff effects. According to him, earnings season is not showing any signs of a breakdown. While there are some cautious forward guidance, the tone has been far more constructive than feared. Quote, I'm encouraged by year-end earnings estimates, which remain stable or even modestly positive. I continue to believe we are in a healthy bull market with no signs of internal deterioration. From a valuation perspective, Siegel said some argue, that markets are expensive. Quote, while measuring forward PE ratios, we are increasingly pricing in next year's earnings, which are supported by strong productivity trends and expanding technology adoption. The 2025-2026 EPS outlook is solid, and while earnings might come down from their lofty year-ahead outlooks, I continue to see upside in equities. Meanwhile, Ryan Dietrich from Carson Research also reiterated that the market rally has been historic, but it quote, likely has legs left. Don't stop believing, obviously quoting a Journey song there. This rally has been historic, but it has legs left. He does have a little discussion here. I'll throw this article in the chat for any of you that want to watch this video or the breakdown there. We don't need to necessarily cover that together. Next here, Trump's EU deal is good for U.S. markets, says experts. Meta, Apple, Palantir among the likely winners, but we have a full list here for you, and I'll give you this story as well. Okay. A newly finalized trade agreement between the U.S. and the European Union is poised to significantly benefit U.S.-based LNG supporters. Remember, we did see energy as one of the leading sectors yesterday. The Magnificent Seven technology giants, again, we saw IT or technology strong yesterday, and the broader tech sector, according to market experts. The deal, announced ahead of the August 1 deadline, is seen as removing a key layer of uncertainty that had hung over the markets. Louis Navellier, who we're going to talk to on Thursday, founder and chief investment officer at Navellier and Associates, told Benzinga that LNG exports, such as Dorian LPG, as likely winners. He noted that, quote, the analyst community is revising their earnings estimates higher, end quote, for these companies. I'm interested here if any of you have any other potential swing long picks in this sector. That might be something we should take a look at as well. The trade deal includes the trade deal includes the EU's commitment to purchase 750 billion in US energy over 3 years and invest another 600 billion in the US economy. Navalier also pointed to the Magnificent Seven and other big technology companies as beneficiaries, anticipating that, quote, the EU is expected to be more reluctant to hit them with digital taxes, end quote. I know that was one of the big things that came up when that deal first came out. Louis here telling you that might still be on deck here, despite not necessarily being one of the items listed in that deal. The agreement's impacts extends to the overall U.S. stock market. Chris Zaccarelli, chief investment officer at Northern Lights Asset Management, told Benzinga he views the deal as, quote, good for U.S. markets as it removes some of the uncertainty that was an overhang for the market, and at a 15% rate, it's lower than was originally feared, end quote. Zaccarelli reiterated the positive outlook for technology and emphasized the energy sector, stating, quote, it will be an even bigger beneficiary because of the intent of the EU to buy more energy from the United States as a result of the new trade deal, end quote. While the deal brings clarity, some of the positive news may have already been factored into stock prices. Zaccarelli noted, quote, the news of this deal being close was released last week, and some of the good news was likely already reflected in prices before today's official announcement. Now, that really does kind of explain why we got somewhat of a sell the news action yesterday in lieu of having any other really kind of big breaking news. The one thing that I want to point out here is we're all still kind of waiting for this big China deal to take place. I'm sure we're going to get hints, just like we did with the EU deal here. And I think that it behooves us to realize that we might actually have a sell the news event when the deal is formally announced. Likewise, if we get any types of hints of this deal that the market starts to sniff out, we may actually see a run in some of the stocks that are affected by this deal. Just something else to consider here. Also contained in this article that I threw in the chat is a list of all of these stocks that folks think might make good swings given the trade deal. We talked a little bit yesterday about trading ideas from this deal, and this is a really good jumping off point. While looking ahead, experts believe the August 1st trade deadline is largely being adhered to, providing further market certainty. However, major outstanding trade negotiations include China, where Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent is reportedly in talks to extend the August 14th deadline, and continuing discussions with Mexico and Canada. Those are going to be three of the other shoes to drop here that I do think the market would reward, if at least in the short term. Smaller deals with other nations are also anticipated to be finalized by the end of the week. So really good stuff there. We'll see if it all pans out. Sounds good right now. Check back in with us on Friday or perhaps even next Monday, and we'll see if we actually get the follow through that we're hoping for. Goldman Sachs making some news here today. Get ready for 5 Fed cuts because the market got it all wrong. Goldman Sachs is doubling down on its dovish rate path forecast, saying the Federal Reserve is poised to deliver 5 interest rate cuts through the end of next year, 3 in 2025 and 2 more in 2026. This is a significantly more aggressive easing cycle than the markets are currently pricing in. In a report published on Monday, Goldman economist David Merciel said he expects no change in this Wednesday's FOMC meeting, but reaffirmed the bank's base case: 25 basis cuts in September, October, and December, followed by 2 more in 2026, bringing the terminal Fed funds rate down to 3 to 3.25. Quote, the activity data have now begun to show clearer support for forecasts of below potential growth than they had at the time of the prior FOMC meetings. The firm pointed to deceleration in consumer spending, which it said slowed more than expected in the first half of 2025, even before the full impact of Trump's tariff regime is felt. Investment softness, primarily in housing, and policy-related uncertainty are also contributing to the economic downshift. Goldman believes the inflation battle is largely over, citing the rebalancing of labor market and a return to pre-pandemic trend lines. The only upside risk, A temporary tariff-driven boost to core inflation, estimated at about 1 percentage point, which sees as a one-time effect unlikely to alter long-term inflation expectations. The firm echoed Fed Governor Christopher Waller's view that tariffs won't ignite a prolonged inflation wave. Quote, "We expect underlying inflation trend to continue converging to 2% this year," end quote. Despite Goldman's confidence, markets remain more cautious. Fed futures data from the CME group shows a 73% chance of just 2 rate cuts in 2025. Meanwhile, Kalshi's CFTC regulated contracts assign the highest probability to 2 cuts or 50 bips at 40%, with only 10% odds for the 3 cut scenario that Goldman is forecasting for this year. Now, the Fed is widely expected to hold rates steady this week at the 5.25 to 5.5 range. Goldman anticipates no strong forward guidance in July's statement or Powell's press conference. Instead, the tone will likely shift from describing growth as solid to moderate to reflect the slower first half expansion. Merkel expects both Governor Bowman and Waller to likely dissent and vote for a 25 basis point rate cut. While Powell may be asked whether the 2 cuts projected in the Fed's June dot plot remain the baseline, he's unlikely to commit, preferring to emphasize the meeting-by-meeting approach with 2 key inflation and jobs prints still due before September. Now, this comes as no surprise here. I don't really expect, we've been talking about this even when Trump has been exchanging barbs with Powell, really don't expect that to be any different. I think the key here is Goldman really sees more cuts than we anticipated. I personally am not in the camp of 3 cuts this year, but if we get that, I would imagine that the market is going to sniff that out and reward that, if at least only temporarily. Goldman sees the Fed cutting faster and deeper than Wall Street believes. If growth slows further and inflation stays the same, aside from a short-lived tariff bump, the market may be underestimating the pace of policy easing in the months ahead. So really interesting stuff there. Oh, it looks like I did not send. There you go. There's the likely winners link there in the chat. Okay, next here, we're actually going to talk about BMNR. I'll go back to Pro here real quick so we can take a look at the chart. Then I'll tell you what's going on here. BMNR, one of those crypto strategy stocks that we've been looking at recently, was actually a big winner for several here in the group. Here's what the daily chart looks like. Yikes, really not all that great. If we look inside, you can see what's happening. We did have an offering yesterday that sent the stock down. Now, this morning, we actually tried to go red-green, couldn't quite get there, but we'll see if we make another attempt at that later today. What's going on with Bitmine stock? Fell 15.1% after hours yesterday. Shares of Bitmine Immersion Technology plummeted in Monday's after-hours market trading, after the company filed for a shelf offering to register securities for sale by selling stockholders. BMNR fell 15.1% after hours after the Ethereum-focused company submitted a Form S-3 ASR with the SEC. Quote, "The selling stockholders may from time to time sell, transfer, or otherwise dispose of any or all of the securities in a number of different ways at varying prices." The company clarified that the securities being offered for resale by the selling stockholders, not directly by Bitmine, while it won't receive proceeds from the sale of common stock, it stands to gain about $25.18 million in equity warrants are exercised in full, which might be used to purchase Ethereum and for other general corporate purposes. Typically, such filings allow issuers to offer and sell securities on a delayed or continuous basis, providing flexibility and efficiency in accessing capital markets. So that just goes to show you there that while they filed for this, they can sell pretty much at any time. And I think that's what spooked some of those investors yesterday. However, because they increased the total number of shares in the market, shareholders regarded as dilutive to their existing value, leading to a fall in the stock price. Bitmine, a small-cap Bitcoin mining firm, pivoted to an Ethereum treasury strategy, adopting Ethereum as its primary reserve asset. The company is pursuing a goal to acquire 5% of the circulating Ethereum supply. We'll see if they're actually able to do that. Now, here's the kicker. Seasoned investors like Kathy Wood and Peter Thiel are betting on Bitmine's ETH play, though His founders fund, Thiel, has acquired a 9% stake in the company. At the same time, ARK Invest, led by Kathy, acquired a 1.5% position. And I think that was pretty recent, wasn't it, producer? So it looks like Kathy bought this recently and it got hit. So those of you that don't like Kathy, now's your cue to laugh at that. Notably, ARK Invest purchased 573,853 shares of BitMine on Monday. A transaction valued at $20.1 million. That is a rough hit overnight, let me tell you. At the time of the writing, Ethereum was trading at 3,766, which was down 2% in the last 24 hours. BitMine shares also closed 11.8% lower at 35.11 on Wednesday. Year to date, the stock has soared over 350%. Just crazy move there. Okay. Let's talk about meme stocks here. This one, I know this meme stocks have had kind of a crazy history here going back to COVID, GameStop, the whole thing. I will say the net benefit of that is a positive one. More and more folks seem to be either more involved or simply care more about financial markets. And I think everybody, no matter their economic class, age, or job, should at least have some type of interest in the financial markets. So that is viewed as a positive here. Wall Street is getting in on the meme stock action. 40% of hedge funds use social sentiment tools and hire social media savvy analysts. This is wild because when we've talked to Anne-Marie recently, she often shares that she uses a social sentiment indicator in her trading platform. On the Prof G podcast on Monday, Ed Elson says 40% of hedge funds are now using social sentiment analytics for their trading strategies in 2025, compared to 3 years ago when it was 10%. Big bump there. That fourfold increase marks a dramatic shift in how institutional players approach meme-driven volatility. Hedge funds are no longer dismissing Reddit. How about that? Redditors getting the final laugh there. Hedge fund managers no longer dismissing Reddit, Twitter, and Google search trends as noise. Quote, the other thing you have to keep in mind now is that a lot of institutions are on the meme thing, end quote. They're hiring people who are tracking Google search and tracking Twitter and tracking Reddit. The rise of social media sentiment analytics is part of a broader acknowledgement that the meme stocks are here to stay. Quote, this is just a synthetic part of the market now, end quote. And we are seeing this resurgence that really hit kind of a boiling point this week. Elson is referring to a string of stocks that experienced a rally over the past week known as DORK. This is Kohl's, Donut, ticker DNUT, Open Door, Kohl's, and Krispy Kreme. Open Door, Kohl's, and DNUT are the actual tickers there. Sorry about that. Fund manager Eric Jackson, who kickstarted Open Door's rally, thanks to Jay Rice once again, who shared that with us the day it happened, however, is distancing himself from the meme stock tag, saying that it's a real business and that the true value and fundamentals will eventually reflect in its price. So one thing here, I know we kind of joke around about the hedge funds, and the meme stock craze has a lot to do with, oh my God, we're going to get those hedge funds pressed and all of this. Be careful, because they see the writing on the wall and they are going after it too. All right, folks, as mentioned, it's a T3 Tuesday and we have a special guest here today. This is actually a new T3 trader. Let's go ahead and give a warm welcome to Scott Bauer. Let's go ahead and bring him on. Scott, good morning. Welcome to the program. How you doing, my man?
Good morning. Thanks so much for having me. I'm doing great.
Okay, a couple of things here real quick. Obviously, with this being your first appearance, I actually had to look into you, and I got a couple of things that I am happy about. First of all, born and raised in Chicago. Me too, buddy. Currently in Chicago right now. Absolutely. What do we got here?
My World Series cup of coffee.
Okay, but is that a Cubs World Series or a Sox World Series?
Oh, no. It is a Cubs, and it is a very, very mournful morning with the news about Ryan Sandberg. So.
Indeed. I actually opened the show with that really quickly here. My mom in the 80s wrote Ryan Sandberg because they named me Ryan because of him. The guy was such a class act that he actually wrote back and also included some autographs, including his Fleer rookie autograph. So I really appreciate that. We are absolutely mourning that. This is the greatest Cub of all time, in my opinion, my favorite, at least. Also, by the way, guess what? I worked as a bank teller, and I was an umpire in baseball earlier. So you and I have a lot in common.
In Skokie, right?
Well, actually, I umpired baseball around the Glenview area, which is where I grew up. But I did hit a couple of those traveling teams, and Skokie was going to be one of them.
Awesome.
Okay, so people might have seen you before on Fox Business, Bloomberg, and CNBC. Can you tell the group a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. So I got into this game back in 1991 on the SIBO. I had actually a baseball buddy of mine who was a few years older than me that was a trader. And he said, come on, you want to learn how to trade? I'll teach you how to trade. And no, I don't want to do that. And said it again about 6 months later. I'm like, sure. So that's how I got into the business. And back in the day, that is how you got into this business. You just knew somebody. So I came in 1991. I went on my badge, which I actually have. I keep it in front of me every day. Here's my actual SIBO badge. Went on a badge in 1992, and kind of the rest is history from there. I've had a very long career on the floor, off the floor, always been affiliated with the SIBO. I traded in Bank America, Coca-Cola, Gap stores, Rambus, but kind of my biggest foray, my biggest entry, I guess, into the world of trading was back in the late 90s when Amazon was listed, brand new puppy of a stock, and it was listed, and the SIBO was fortunate enough to get those options. Back in the day, there was no multiple listing of options. Every stock just went to a certain exchange. We fortunately got Amazon. Well, literally, there was not one trader on the floor that wanted to trade this stock because it was so volatile. So I went over to that pit where it was at, and I literally was the only trader in the world for about 3 months trading Amazon options. And that was a pretty wild time. And I would tell you that my specialty is trading volatility. And what I learned from trading Amazon options back in the day, we're talking when the stock was 40, $50, but probably way more volatile than it is right now. That has really catapulted my career. And I went on to be a partner at Goldman Sachs, and I traded and ran their S&P 500 operation for them at the SIBO, and went on to develop my own trading education business. And here I am now with T3, loving every minute of it and teaching people how to trade.
Okay, I can't wait to dive into this. Folks, don't get lulled by these recent highs. Volatility is always lurking. Discover how smart traders are playing both sides of the market before the next wave hits. Go ahead and scan that QR code at the top corner there if you want to hear more from Scott. Okay, Scott, I ask all of the T3 guys, you guys that are professional traders, I ask you guys all the same question the first time I talk to you. Can you go over your morning routine and how you prepare for the trading day?
My morning routine usually starts about 2 a.m. because I don't sleep. I'm an insomniac, so I'm constantly watching the market. That's not a good thing. I don't recommend that to anybody, but I'm constantly watching the market, constantly seeing what's in the news, what's moving the market. I'm always preparing days ahead with stocks that may have an announcement coming out that have earnings. So obviously these next few weeks are really, really huge for me and my students and what I do. So I am really preparing for many of those stocks ahead of time. Household names and names that maybe you've never heard of, but names that also have a lot of option volume, open interest. So I am constantly evaluating that volatility, looking to see if there is volatility arbitrage between, selling massive premium ahead of earnings, buying something further down the road, and really just looking over my portfolio, making sure that it's balanced somewhat. It's not always hedged long and short, but balanced somewhat so that if there is a 2, 3, 4% move one day, we know that we are good to go. So, that comes back from the way I traded on the floor. I was a really, really conservative trader. Now, that doesn't mean that I didn't trade a ton, which I did. In fact, I probably had in the equities some of the largest positions out there, but I was always delta neutral. So I try to maintain that in the same manner now. I know it's a little different trading on the screens than obviously trading in the pits where I was a market maker. Now we're market takers, but that's really how I'm preparing for the day. And then, as news flow comes out and I'm getting alerts and looking at my scanners, that's what I'm looking to take advantage of. But I am always looking ahead a few days to see what may impact the markets, whether it's an individual stock announcement, eco data. This is obviously a huge week for eco data.
Yep. Yep. Look ahead to stay ahead. That makes a lot of sense. Scott, can you do us a favor? Can you tell us a little bit about the Prosper Trading Academy and what students can expect from that academy?
Absolutely. So myself and 4 or 5 other real traders, former traders from the floor, we are all educators. And so we are live with our students. That is 8:30 to 3 Central, 9:30 to 4 Eastern time. We are live with our students in our rooms, trading with them, explaining what we're doing, going through potential setups. Even if we don't make a trade, we're still going through the rationale. We're going through the technicals and the fundamentals so that our students learn live on the go. So, they can go to our educational campus if they miss attending during the day, but these are live sessions that myself and the other educators are literally working hand in hand and interacting with our students on a daily basis.
Okay, that's actually a perfect segue here. Can you talk about some of your favorite setups for option trading? Do you look at a chart? Do you look at a news? Does it have to do with a binary event like earnings or just the way the options are priced? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure, it absolutely does not have to be a binary event. In fact, when there's not an event, there's not earnings or something else, that's actually a great time to look at things as well. And because I am really well versed in trading volatility, I love looking at time spreads, diagonals,
Mhm.
calendars, and taking advantage of if volatility is low, I want to buy time. If volatility is high, I look to sell it. And we know that
Good.
volatility is always mean reverting. Now, that doesn't mean we don't trade if volatility is not on one end of the spectrum. There's always a potential setup. But what is so important is so many people get caught up, especially now. And I know you were just talking about the meme stocks and stuff.
Mhm.
So many people, especially if you're a new trader, get caught up with the FOMO of trading and you feel like you have to be in the game. And that is one of the biggest mistakes that traders make, especially new traders. And so we try and teach our traders that, okay, you're not going to be necessarily trading every minute of the day. And every opportunity we look at doesn't mean we're going to trade it. But I know you have FOMO. I know you want to be in the game, but I promise you, after doing this now for 34 years, there's always going to be another trade to make. That I can guarantee, whether it's 5 minutes from now, 20 minutes from now, later in the day, tomorrow, there is always going to be another trade to make that fits the requirements we're looking at in terms of reward to risk, timing, all of that sort of stuff. So we really get very in depth with our students, top to bottom. Reward to risk is a priority, and always watching our risk is imperative. It's essential, and that's probably one of the first things that we teach our students is you don't have to be huge in this game, but you do have to always monitor your risk.
That's a really good point. We talk about, protecting your capital being the goal number one for every single trader that steps into the market every single day. The profits will come if you focus on risk to reward first. It's great to hear you talking about the same thing. The other thing, I love hearing that you're trying to teach people to be patient. It seems to me I've only been doing, I think I'm on my 12th year now doing this. And the one thing that I have learned for sure is that the market is absolutely a mechanism to move money from the impatient to the patient. So I try to be in the patient category there
Yes.
and make sure that we collect anything that we can. Okay, don't get lulled by these recent highs. Volatility is always lurking. Discover how smart traders are playing both sides of the market before the next wave hits. There is a QR code at the top. If you're having trouble with the QR code, I went and threw the link there in the chat. All right, Scott, we're going to get to everyone's favorite section here. What do you like right now? What setups do you see out there right now? Where can traders kind of look to find some decent trades here?
So number one, I think volatility is too low. Now we can look at the VIX and you can say, oh, well, the VIX is justified being at 15 because we're not getting these 1% moves a day like we were. In fact, I think we're on maybe day 24 or day 25, somewhere that we have not seen a 1% move in the S&Ps. And a VIX of 16 is really representative of that 1% move. But I think vol is too low. So the opportunities outside of earnings season here, I'm really looking to buy premium, to buy volatility, whether it's September, October. I personally typically do not trade much further out than that, than going out 1 or 2 months. And I do that specifically because I understand implied volatility better when it's closer dated. There's more variability the further you go out. So I typically stick to, 4 or 8 weeks, something like that. So I'm looking to buy premium. Now, if I'm looking at potential earnings setups or even a setup to do something for this Friday's non-farm payrolls or on the Fed report tomorrow, typically when I get in a situation like that, I will also look for a time spread. I will look for, does a diagonal, a calendar make sense if that implied volatility arbitrage is far enough apart to sell that expensive premium, buy something that's a little bit cheaper. That is my go-to. My go-to are these calendar spreads. But that doesn't mean that we don't trade just about every type of strategy that's out there. When volatility is high, I'm definitely in the camp of selling premium. When volatility is low, I want to buy it. And it sounds so simplistic, buy low, sell high. And
Yeah.
Everybody does that, right? It sounds so simplistic, but if you really understand how volatility works, then the system works.
It sounds simplistic until it actually happens, and then you get a very quick lesson that it's not actually as simplistic as it sounds, which is why practice and education is a continuing thing here. You're never going to be done. There's always new things that you can learn here. I did have a quick question here from one of the chatters, if you don't mind. You're talking about liking volatility here. Do you have any thoughts on quantum computing? Some of those stocks have been absolute ragers recently. Have you been able to take advantage of any of that?
Yeah, they have been ragers, and that's an area right now where you're not seeing low volatility. In fact, if you look at some of the implied vol in some of those stocks, you'll see that it's pretty elevated. So to me, I can still do something there on a vertical, maybe an iron condor. I'm probably not buying time on that in that sort of stock because volatility is high. But listen, stocks don't just go up all the time, right?
Mhm.
So you have to be able to look at something agnostically and say, okay, what are these charts telling me here? What are the fundamentals telling me? I'm not just going to buy a call spread or get long here just because this is the hot sector of the day. And that's one of the things we are seeing right now is really, we've got the nuclear stocks and quantum computing, and then you go back to the Mag 7, and it seems like almost every day or every week there's a different flavor of the week of what is the hot stock, what is the hot sector. And we have to look to take advantage of that because nothing lasts forever.
That's right. And this week you take that dynamic you just talked about and layer on top of it a Fed meeting,
right,
which is likely going to introduce even more volatility into this. Okay, I got one personal question here. I guess it's not personal. It's my own question here based on what we're seeing. I've noticed that recently, a lot of these earning prints, Boeing is what I've got on the screen here. This is actually a pretty good example. It appears that the option sellers are winning these binary event battles. Here's another one, UNH. This is actually only down 2.7%. I believe the options were pricing in a much higher move than that. So my question here is, let me see if I had it in here. No, I don't have it handy here. So my question here is, with option sellers appearing to be winning the earnings battle, what does this tell you, if anything?
Well, it just tells me that maybe the option market is expecting too much, or that the news that is coming out, the results that's coming out, the guidance that's coming out is just kind of muted. And I would agree with you. We're not seeing big outlier moves right now, but that's where people can really get complacent. And so one thing that I absolutely respect is and it goes down to the Black-Scholes model, is what is the expected move going into a binary event like earnings, or if there's not. And We know the expected move for those that follow that and understand how to calculate that. 68% probability, one standard deviation. Well, I want to get the odds in my favor as much as possible. So I will look at that one standard deviation move, calculate that, and see if that fits into any other sort of technicals. Does that align with some other support, some other resistance areas, moving averages, whatever it may be? But you are right. And I'm looking at Spotify right now because they had earnings this morning here.
Yep.
And, the expected move in Spotify was somewhere like $65 or so. And yeah, the stock is down, but it's not down that much. So if you went into a position like that and maybe sold an iron condor going into earnings like that, you probably are going to do pretty well. I mean, we still have 45 minutes till we open, but that stock has not moved as much as what the expected move was this morning. But again, don't get complacent. If these stocks are not moving right now, don't get complacent. And that's one of the reasons also why I said I really like volatility here and want to buy some volatility, because I just think things are too cheap.
Okay, that's perfect. And then this is the last question. We'll get you out of here on this. Can't thank you enough for your time here this morning.
Sure.
Do you think that given everything that's going on here, that there is a potential catch-up trade when we kind of catch up to this? We're seeing some of these prints. It's not really as volatile as the options are predicting. Can that change in a heartbeat? Can we maybe have a catch-up in the back half of the year?
Oh, there's no question about it. I mean, all it takes is another news print, something like we saw with Nvidia, months ago with what happened coming out of China, or something derails with the tariff situation, or all of a sudden inflation starts picking up. We're going to get PCE, I think, tomorrow, and more inflation data. If all of a sudden that landscape starts to change, you're going to see volatility, not just the VIX, but you're going to see volatility really spike up quickly, because there is where the catch up to me really is, because I really believe volatility is too low. I'm not saying that we're going to get back to a 30 handle or higher in the VIX or so, but I certainly think in this environment right now, maybe forward 3-4 weeks and we're out of the summer doldrums here, I think we see a VIX with a 20 handle pretty easily. I think that's where the catch up is.
Okay, that's really good stuff there. Pretty actionable as well. I guess the only question that I'd press you with here, I take a look at seasonality quite often, and it seems to me that August is more of a sideways month, followed by September, which is a traditionally pretty poor month that ends up bottoming in October. So when you talk about the volatility, where do you think it fits in on this timeline?
We're in a pretty dynamic situation right now. It's, if you look at how things have traded over the last 6, 12, 18 months compared historically, we're in a pretty unique time right now. So I'm not sure that you can really look at that historical data. I do agree with you with the seasonality, but one good point to think about is, the sell in May and go away, right? Well, if you did that, you got absolutely hammered this year. So I am not necessarily looking at that historical kind of pattern and saying, okay, this is absolutely what I'm going to do. I really need to take a deeper dive, a deeper look into what's happening now, and use my intuition, use the tools that I have to kind of trade off of that. So based on what you said, with September typically being a little bit weaker and that bottoms out here, that does correlate to my thinking of vol is too low. So when I say vol is too low, I'm going out September, October, and that's where I'm looking to buy a little bit of volatility, because I just think everything is too cheap.
Okay. Scott, amazing stuff here today. Don't get lulled by these recent highs. Volatility is always lurking. Discover how smart traders are playing both sides of the market before the next wave hits. Scan that QR code, hit the link in the chat. Scott, can't thank you enough for your time. Appreciate you joining us here. Look forward to speaking with you next time, okay?
Look forward to it. Thank you.
Take care. Be well. That is Scott Bauer from T3, a new T3 trader being added into the fold, and they're taking some time to come out here and share some of their experience with us. We absolutely love it, and we thank them. And this is what it's all about. Charles saying, I joined T3 last week. Actually plan on using them starting today. I just went through Scott's Q2 market report and about to buy CCJ this morning. I'll see you later, Scott, after the market starts. Charles, awesome. And it's good to see you feeling better and back here. Really, really good stuff. Okay. I got one more thing to do, and we'll bring on 13. I bet 13 is preparing, getting all of those very, very specific details dug out for you so that we can run down that list of movers here. So I'm going to let him continue to do research while I finish off this last story after I find the right banner here. Let's go ahead and actually talk about Sarepta real quick. This is going to be ticker SRPT. I don't know what's going on. There we go. This has been just an absolute disaster recently. I mean, really pretty much all this year, stock has done nothing but move down. We have multiple gap downs on the chart. This is one of those stocks where, well, it's sold off and it can't go lower. Oh, I assure you it can go lower. And it has here. Have some more news here today as the stock is bouncing nearly 40% here this morning. So maybe there's a trade here. Now, let's take a look at the news before we decide on that. Sarepta Therapeutics stock soars after the FDA removes the hold on Elevidys for some patients. Shares were halted and extended trading on Monday after the FDA recommended the removal of the voluntary hold for Elevidys. I think I'm pronouncing it correctly, but you can make fun of me if I'm not. The FDA announced late on Monday it recommended lifting this voluntary hold for Sarepta Therapeutics gene therapy for Duchenne muscular dystrophy. The company said in a statement it was notified by the FDA on Monday and plans to resume shipping the drug to sites of care for treatment of ambulatory patients with Duchenne imminently. The news comes after the FDA announced on Friday it was investigating the death of an 8-year-old in Brazil who received this drug. Sarepta said the FDA determined the death was unlikely to be related to the treatment, which is the only approved gene therapy for Duchenne. Quote, last week, at the suggestion of the FDA, Sarepta made the difficult decision to pause shipments of Elevidys to provide the FDA with an opportunity to complete a review of available safety information. We are very pleased that the FDA chose to rapidly and comprehensively complete that review and to recommend that we remove our voluntarily pause and resume shipments of Elevidys for ambulatory patients. This was Doug Ingram, the CEO of Sarepta. Sarepta said that this drug treatment for non-ambulatory patients remains on pause pending the outcome of the upcoming discussions with the FDA regarding the company's approach to risk mitigation. So let me know if you're going to trade Sarepta here today. This is where the stock came from. We have a huge range here. There's a number of different gaps on this chart. Here we are today at about 1930. So if we look on the chart there, it's going to be about right here. This is another sideways consolidation area. If we break ahead of that, there is another rather large gap that we might be able to capture here as traders. So that's what's going on. Okay. It's time. It's that time y'all been waiting for. It's the 13 time. Let's bring him on and see how he's doing. 13, good morning. Happy Tuesday, man. That sip of coffee looked awesome. How are you doing here today?
I'm doing pretty well. How was everybody this morning? How are you?
I'm mixed, man. I feel good, grateful for life, but pretty gutted about the passing of Ryan Sandberg yesterday. So overall, I would say I'm good, but a little bit of a solemn morning here.
This month really just needs to kind of chill out with all the celebrity deaths, you know?
Yeah, it sure does.
We need to calm down here. Hopefully next month will be much better. We will not lose so much life.
Yeah, no question. Okay, you want to go over some of the movers?
What do you think? Think we should do that?
I think we should, because that's what people are here for. We want to get prepared for that, get an idea of what we should be looking at here today. First stock at the top of the list, DRRX, Direct. And actually, this wasn't moving when I sat down here at my terminal. Looks like it's popping here. We went from a penny stock to $2. Let's see what's going on with the
takeover.
It's a takeover. So there's not a whole lot to go through here. Congrats if you had this one. Cha-ching. Today is your day. Nothing else to cover here. I'm just going to move on. 13.
Sounds good to me.
All right, next here is going to be SLRX. This is Solarius Pharmaceuticals. This stock, also a penny stock. This one popped to about above 350 here today. It's been bleeding back a lot of those gains. It's made 2 tests to try and get back and hold above the VWAP, and it has been unsuccessful in doing that. Now we are hunting some legs lower here. Next spot might be 150 there. It's going to be your 200 EMA. We do have here, it looks like this is from yesterday, granted NASDAQ compliance extension. So it fits into that theme that we've traded on a bunch of these smaller, albeit junkier names. Stock is up 148%. Boy, it keeps changing too fast there. On the back of this news, quick look around the horn, 32.06% of the float shorted here. That's got 2.83 days to cover, and that comes on an average volume of 1.26 million. Today, we've traded 30 million plus. The float on this stock is 2.1 million. 13, what do you think here for a trade today?
So back on July 14th, this same news, it seems like it was the same news, came out saying that they were granted an additional extension to regain compliance with their equity standard, NASDAQ's equity standard. So I thought, okay, well, maybe this is just rehashed news. It's not. This original one that we got in July, that was an extension that was good until the end of July, beginning of August. It was going to be in that range. This one that we got today extends their compliance out until the end of August. So it's just granting a little bit more additional time, another 30 days, I believe. So that's not rehashed news. This is new news, but it's I don't think it's that big of a deal. The company does need cash. There were some Form S's floating around there that continue to get amended. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to pull those up and read them for some reason. But when I keep seeing amended Form S's, it's usually sometimes it can be the same offering, just kind of extended. They just change the date on when they're good till. They just kind of say, okay, well, we didn't do it this month. They're just let's file to do it this next month then. And that's what I think that is. But like I said, I couldn't see it, so I don't know exactly what type of formats we were looking at there. Same time, the company does need cash, and has a high short interest. And I think what we're seeing is more of a squeeze than a real move on this news. And if you look at what happens to this stock on a daily chart, and we may end up getting this today, a lot of times it will gap up like it has, and it will run in the regular session, but it's going to end up closing much lower and come right back in after this move. So I'd anticipate that we're going to get some pretty similar price action to what we've seen in the past here when it has these pops. I totally expect this move to come back in. This is going to be an in and an out if we do find a trade setup for this today. And then we're probably not going to look at it until it has the next NASDAQ compliance.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And, given some of the action that we saw yesterday, I think it probably behooves us to be careful here today on taking some of these a little bit too early. Maybe have your stops kind of figured out ahead of the trade. We just heard from Scott Bauer, who said how important risk management is. I think we should adopt that going into today if you haven't already. Diamond Hotline, I'm going to take this question here. We normally take questions after this, but I'll take it out of order here because I think it's important.
Yep.
Ryan, what is days to cover on the shorts? Where do you get that? And how could, I think you meant, it be important? Okay, really good question here. First of all, Benzinga Pro makes this extremely easy to understand. Days to cover is how many days it would take to cover the raw short interest based on its average volume. So the data points that you need in order to calculate this value is how much short interest there actually is, and then how many days it would take based on its average volume for those shorts to cover. So using SLRX as the example here, it trades on average over the past 100 days just shy of 240,000 shares. But there are 678,500 shares held short. So how long would it take to cover? If all of the trading was in fact covering shorts, based on the average, it would take 2.83 days to cover all of these short positions. Now, you ask, the important part here is, why is this important? Well, because a lot of the times a short is taken for a specific thesis. A drug's not going to work, a product's not going to work, the company's fraud, the chart looks terrible. There's an infinite amount of reasons. We can't cover them all. But the reason this is important is because if a new piece of news comes out or a threshold on the chart is breached, that might induce traders to cover. This is a metric of looking, okay, if the story changes here and those shorts are forced to cover, how long is it going to take before those shorts actually cover? Remember, if you're holding a short position, in order to cover, you need to buy. So the rest of the traders are looking at this thinking, well, there's a bunch of short interest. It's going to take a few days. We're likely to see a couple of days of buying here. And on the back of good news, that might mean a couple of days of potential longs here. So let me know if this makes sense here for you. 13, did I miss anything there? Does that sound about right for you?
I part of what you're saying. I'm sorry, I was reading what the chat was saying, so I wasn't fully paying attention. But it sounded like you covered all the points I would.
Yeah. So days to cover. This is basically a metric of time based on the average volume and the outstanding short. Now, some values to make this a little bit more helpful for you. Traditionally, when 13 and I say that a stock has, quote, high short interest, generally speaking, a good rule of thumb there is that the stock should have 20% more of the float shorted. Remember, we don't necessarily cover the raw number because it's almost more important to look at the float. To look at the percentage of the float. However, when looking at days to cover, you need to know that. Benzinga Pro just simply does it all for you. A days to cover value of 5 or higher is indicative of a stock that has, quote, high short interest. So 20% of the float shorted or more and 5 days to cover or more, usually indicative of a potential squeeze. Okay. Good question, though, Diamond. Hopefully that answers your question. Next on the list here, SOAR, SOAR. This is a stock that we are familiar with as we have traded this a number of times in the past. I would be entirely unsurprised if you have previous levels from this. You can see the stock was about $1.70 yesterday. We popped above 260 here today. Looks like we're coming back into the VWAP, but we're right in that area there. Volato to acquire M2I Global in reverse triangular merger between M2I and a wholly owned subsidiary of Volato. Okay, time to just be frank with you. I have no idea what a reverse triangular merger is, so I can't tell you if that's important. We'll dig through this here and see what we can uncover. A quick look at some of the short interest here on SOAR. 12.18% of the float shorted with 1.07 days to cover. Comes on an average volume of 1.67 million. Today we've traded 26.5 million. Float here is 1.6 million. 13, what do you think? And do you know what a reverse triangular merger is? No pressure.
No, I actually didn't get into this one this morning. It seems like this might be a little bit higher than it was earlier. But anyway. Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't have any information on this one. It's not one I looked at, but I can certainly give you information on the chart that I'm looking at here. And
perfect.
Trying to hold above the VWAP right now. It doesn't look like it's faring too well, trying to stay above it. But as long as it holds VWAP, I think there could still be some more upside to be had. But those candles in the past 10 minutes don't look great either. I'd be keeping an eye on whether or not we can hold above VWAP. If we start losing VWAP and we go into the open, I would expect it to probably go down even further before we find some footing. But if we can hold above VWAP into the open, there might be a better chance of this going higher, maybe getting back over 275, which is the high of the pre-market.
Okay, 275, that high. We also seem to have a little bit of resistance here at 265, so that might be a range that you can look at. I currently have the VWAP of about 237, so I do have that price technically right now above it. But to be fair to you, 13, this price has been bouncing all over the place in this last 5-minute candle, and it has not always been above that. David here, really appreciate this. A reverse triangular merger is a mergers and acquisitions strategy that occurs when an acquiring company creates a subsidiary and that subsidiary purchases and merges with a target company. Okay, I appreciate you looking that up. I'm not sure of the significance. What I am sure of is that SOAR is soaring here today. So we are still up about 40%. We'll see if we get another trade on this. 13, I think you did a really good job breaking down what to look for here on SOAR.
Yeah, and thank you for getting us that information. Appreciate it.
Yeah, always appreciate assists from the chat. It's why you guys are the absolute best out there, and it's why I say it all of the time. Okay, Sarepta here. We kind of talked about this already. 13. I did go through the Sarepta story. I can't remember. I think you were on for that. Yeah, you were. So I don't know if you have anything here on the chart, if you have an opinion on what's going on here, anything at all on Sarepta. I don't think I need to break this down a second time.
I don't think you do either. It does have cash and revenue, but it loses a lot of money, as the quarters go on. I think you pointed out the short interest of 17.7%, 3.5 days to cover. Float's a little larger than we normally trade. It's 83 million compared to the 1 to 10 million, sometimes even less than a million that we trade. Looking at the chart right now, this has been getting support from the 65 EMA since it's been coming off of its impulse move. It's kind of trading between the 65 EMA and the VWAP right now. Whichever one falls first, that's, I think, the direction we're going to be headed. So if we lose the 65 EMA here, whether it be in the pre-market or as we go into the open, I think we'll end up coming back down probably to 18 before we see some support. Not even sure if we'll end up getting support there either. But if we do break to the VWAP to the upside, then I'd want to see a recapture of 1950 and then subsequently 20.
Okay, so there you go. Our key levels there, that 65 EMA that 13 was just talking about, I've got a value there of 1889 and the VWAP at 1926. So you're looking at about a 30 to 40 cent range there. We'll see which direction this breaks out of. Remember, actually, I think we also got some upgrades on this as well. Indeed. So in addition to the news here about them restarting their drug distribution, there is also here some upgrades. So JP Morgan announcing a neutral $24 price target. Oppenheimer upgrading Sarepta to outperform, $37 price target. Morgan Stanley maintaining equal weight, $20 price target. Piper maintaining neutral, price target 15. So Sarepta pretty much, it is above the Piper Sandler one, but it is beneath the rest of them. We'll see if there's more upside here on Sarepta. Okay. Next on the list here, and Joseph, I see you mentioning PayPal. Don't worry, we're going to get to PayPal here, but I do want to get these movers out of the way here. The next one that I have is going to be SCNI, and this is Sinai Immunotherapeutics. One of their drugs, PC111, was featured in a peer-reviewed publication. This is a disease-modifying therapy for pemphigus and SJSTEN. I'm sorry, I don't know what those are. This stock, if we take a look at the chart here, this is up. Oops, this is the wrong one. I beg your pardon. One sec here. Oh, there we go. Come on. There we go. You can see that we did pop in the after hours. We popped again here in the pre-market all the way up to 5, but it has been rough sledding since then. Stock has done nothing but sell off. We've made 2 attempts to try and recapture the VWAP. Both attempts mutumboed away from the VWAP. Just no dice there. Quick look at the short interest on this one. 10% exactly of the float shorted here with 1 day to cover. That comes on an average volume of just shy of 400,000 shares. This is not a very liquid stock on regular days. However, the big thing to keep in mind on this one is the float. 283,000 shares in the float. This thing is a micro float. 13, what do you think here on ticker SCNI?
So the news was on a peer-reviewed publication that supported, you mentioned it, that supported their disease modifying therapy. So you basically have a bunch of other biotech scientists that are looking at the details of their, I'm assuming their clinical trials, and going, oh yes, this we all agree this is looking pretty good. Then that helps it, gain prominence, move it along, maybe even become a drug one day. Now, the company does have cash. I'm sorry, no, I'm looking at the wrong one. I'm sorry, the company needs cash. They did do some capital raises through drawdowns. That was, I think, last month they were doing that. So I don't think we've got an accurate reflection of their financials. Maybe once we get their earnings report in 14 days, we'll have a better picture of that. But it does look like they are going to have to raise some capital at some point. I would not be surprised if an offering did come out. I don't think they did raise enough capital through their drawdowns. They do have that 283,000 share float. That's always going to be, a flag for me, not a red flag, but a flag that, with a float that low, it opens the door to allowing share dilution. So that's just something I'm going to keep an eye on. or in the back of my head, if I'm going to be trading this today, that an offering could be coming. Looking at the chart, don't like the way this formation is looking. It's we had another one that kind of had, it wasn't exactly like this, but it did take on a very similar head and shoulders shape. I don't remember which one it was exactly. I think I could just tell you which one it was. It might have been CELC. Not sure, but anyway, or it might have been another one, like MCVT or something. Anyway,
the one from yesterday.
The one from yesterday. Yeah, that's right. So we're trying to hold on to the 200 EMA on the 5-minute right now. It's kind of going back and forth right at that area. If it loses this, then I think we're going right back to where it started, around $2. But if it can somehow turn around and go make its way back up to VWAP, I would need to see a break over that VWAP. Since it came beneath VWAP in the pre-market, it has tried multiple times to recapture it to no avail, and it's only been going lower. So I would expect more of the same if we fail to recapture that VWAP on the next attempt. And if we lose the 200 here, I still think we're going lower to $2.
Okay. Smoke Tuna letting you all know that SCNI has 88% on the Tuna Signal AI score. So, okay.
Then it's got to find some footing soon. And when it does, let's be ready.
Okay. Good stuff there. All right. Next here, SGD, Safe and Green Development. We've traded this one as well. This had a pop up to 160. It came from penny territory. Had a pop up to 160, pulled almost all the way back, lost the VWAP in the process. It's doing its absolute damnedest to hold on to the $1 tag here, or the $1 price level. Let's see. I don't have any new news on this at all. So maybe just some pumping action here, maybe a newsletter or some room pump, something like that. Stock here, 3.09% of the float shorted with 1.48 days to cover. That comes on an average volume of 363,000. Stock's traded just shy of 28 million here today. It's got a float of 2 million. You got anything here on SGD? We've seen this one before. It's worth noting that when we look at this, we look at the previous price history, it does like to come back in, but sometimes it can actually hold that for more than a session. So maybe we'll get that here today. Anyway, you have any thoughts here, SGD?
I'm just going to go to the chart on this one because I think we have looked at this one before, and I don't remember how good or bad it was. Just looking at the financials, it looks like it's going to have to raise cash. So maybe that's going to happen at some point. Looking at the price action, the pre-market here, we've already got a couple of visits on the 65 EMA. The more it hammers that 65 EMA, the more I think it's going to fall through it. But if it can get its footing here and try to turn up and go back after that VWAP, then I'd be looking for, of course, a break over the VWAP. 162 is the high in the pre-market. If this can't hold above the 65 EMA, I think we're going under $1, and then I wouldn't want to worry about this one or trade it.
Okay, and it actually looks like we might get a test at that 104.65 EMA. Okay, good breakdown there. And next here's Sorry.
I was just gonna say, I see folks you're talking about several different like UAVS and all that. We'll get to that. Don't trust me. We'll get to that.
Okay, so let's get NTHI out of the way here. We'll definitely get to UAVS here. Was there another one on the list that you want to make sure I hit?
No, I covered all the ones.
Okay, I saw Izzy mentioning Fubo here, which is up a little bit. Yeah. Not one of the huge movers here, but let's go work with this one here. This is sure. NTHI. This is Neonic. I think that's how you pronounce it. Neonic Technologies. Stock was about $5.50 yesterday. We did pop almost all the way up to $9, although we are backing off this a little bit. We do have a PR here on this one. Neonic Technologies signs an agreement for a $50 million partnership with Quasar Investment. Quasar to acquire 1.4 million shares of Neonic at $25 a share, with the remaining 15 million earmarked for phase 2B trials and infrastructure build out. I think one of the big takeaways from this is that price tag, that $25 per share. Stock is $6.80 right now, and that's after it's traded up about $1.50 or 26% here. Quick look at the short interest on this one, 2.48% of the float shorted as of the last read. That comes on 1 day to cover, and that days to cover comes on an absolute ghost town of a stock, 135,000 shares per day over the past 100 days. Today, we've traded almost 2.3 million. The float on this is just shy of 10 million, coming in at 9.09 million. So what do you think here? 13?
I would want to read through this PR that they put out here at 9 a.m. that covers this, because I guess I have some questions about, like, is this already with existing shares, or are they getting new ones issued? And if it is existing commons, then yeah, this is gonna this could really move here. It's already been trying to get to 9 a couple of times and get over VWAP, but 2 times already it's been pushed down. Now it looks like we're finally trying to get over VWAP here, and if we do end up closing above it, we may end up seeing this go higher. I don't know quite yet, because like I said, I would want to read through this PR and get a bit of an idea of what this cash is going to be used for, or if this is going to be through their commons or not. But if it is, then yeah, I would kind of think that maybe we do see this go on a bit of a run up into the 20s. Not sure what's keeping it down, but like I said, don't know enough about this. That's kind of what I would be watching here, is just holding above this VWAP right now, and it looks like we're coming right back beneath it. So don't know what's keeping this thing down from going higher, because that news does seem like it could send this up to the 20s.
Okay, keep this one on deck here for today. We'll see how this one trades. Let me see. I know we're still in the pre-market, so this might not be a really good indication here. It's not bad, though. This is only spread 4 cents right now. So this might actually be tradable here. We'll see how this one moves. NTHI, put this one on your radar here for today. Okay, list is changing here. Just want to make sure I don't miss anything. We'll talk about, maybe we should do this here. And did this get bought out? Yeah. So Baker Hughes is acquiring ticker GTLS. This is Chart Industries. Buyout price here, $210 per share. Stock is currently at about $199. I don't think there's anything else that we need to cover here. This is merger and acquisition news. 13, you don't have anything on this, right? I can move to UAVS now.
What is GTLS exactly?
GTLS is Chart Industries. This company here, Chart Industries, provides a variety of cryogenic equipment for storage, distribution, and other processes within the industrial gas and liquefied natural gas industries. So my read through on this, and I haven't done research, so if you want to and you want to refine this, giddy up, all power to you. But to me, it sure seems like on the back of the EU-US trade deal, all things energy have really traded higher here. This looks like a merger and acquisition in that space. Seems to me like this might be for potentially transporting some of that fuel. That'd be my read here. GTLS, Chart Industries.
The only reason I was bringing it up is because if you recall, yesterday in Happy Hour we were looking at CLS, and we were
that got asked about here today, actually.
And we were looking at that company because it's a supply chain solutions company, and we wanted to take a look at the peers. Well, this is another one of those instances where, okay, this company is getting bought out by Baker Hughes, and I'm kind of interested in looking at some other companies in this same sector to see if maybe they get a lift, or if there's more to this this acquisition that could lead to other trades in the same space. So that's kind of what I was looking at here, is with Chart Industries. What do they do? Are there other companies that we could maybe look at? Maybe some that have earnings that are, because they just had earnings today. They have earnings coming up that we could maybe play before or after. So just kind of looking at thinking along those lines, that maybe there's some peer play that we could do with GTLS.
I love the thought process. At first glance here, it doesn't appear that these are related even a little bit. But maybe there is something in there, or that we could kind of pull out of that. It looks like here, Scholastic offers supply chain solutions, advanced technology solutions, connectivity and cloud solutions. The ATS segment consists of the ATS end market and is comprised of aerospace and defense, industrial, health tech, and capital equipment businesses. It sure seems like GTLS has to do with energy.
Right. So what I'm saying is, let's look at peers of GTLS.
Yeah. Okay.
And see if there's any cryogenic equipment storage companies that maybe they're working with some other oil and gas companies, and they are either shopping around for a business, or maybe looking for potential deals. Sorry, go ahead. No, I'm just kind of thinking out loud here about this.
No, that's good. I absolutely love that. Sorry that I didn't catch on to it. This next one here, PNR.
Oh,
This is
Pentair.
Pentair. I'm
Okay.
actually not familiar with this one. Also, Flowserve, ticker FLS. Flowserve is actually up 7%. Pentair down almost 2% on the back of this news. Otis Worldwide, I'm pretty sure that's the elevator.
Yeah, Pentair actually makes pool equipment. They're like the pool chillers to keep the pool water cool.
Okay. Okay. Anyway, that might be something. That might be something to do there. Did you have anything, or no? It was a takeover here. I'm just going to move on. I want to get to UAVS here real quick, and I'm sure there are other stocks that folks want to take a look at. Here is UAVS. We do have some news here on this as well. AG Eagle and Aerial Systems announces the sale of its EB Vision drones in Thailand, facilitated by partner Sky Visual Imaging. So it looks like we're seeing the first sale of drones in Thailand here. UAVS now trading up 13.3% on the back of that news. Quick look around the horn, 17.09% of the float shorted. That comes on 1 day to cover, and that 1 day to cover comes on an average volume of 7.63 million shares. Today, we've already traded 4 million prior to the market open, so I think we are going to get above that 100-day average. What do you think here, UAVS 13?
Remind me what the news was on the 24th, because something popped us up to the 200-day SMA, and then we were rejected at that site. Now we're getting some more news that could potentially take us back up there. It's currently at 346, and we're only trading at 270. But if we open and we continue to trade up, I'd be looking at a move up to that 200-day SMA, maybe even through it this time. So that's something I'd be keeping an eye on.
What was the date you wanted me to look at?
That was on the 24th. Of July, this month.
24th of July. Global military drone market size on a trajectory towards 88 billion. This was a market news update. It looks like it affected the entire sector here. UAVS was listed in the article.
Okay, perfect. So that's one of the things that we saw, or the reason why we saw this run up to the 200-day SMA. It was also on a momentum run too, with all the other drone names following Pete Hegseth's comment about accelerated drone production. So we did get that hit to the, on the 200. We backed off. It looks like we're finding some footing, and now we have this news. I at the very least, I would want to see this hit 3. Don't know 100% sure or not if it's going to go through 3 or not, but that certainly looks like a level to me, just based on the past several days of trading price action here. So with this PR, I'm looking for a 3 print or test. Don't know if it's going to go higher or lower than that, but that's what I'm looking at for the time being.
Okay. Really good stuff there, UAVS. Let me ask you, did you have anything else on the movers list that you wanted to cover, or can we start taking a look at some of the bigger stocks that folks asked about?
I think, well, I don't have any on my list, but I think folks wanted to look at like Fubo and some of these other names that I was seeing earlier here.
Okay, well, we'll start with Fubo because that actually is on the list here. Fubo TV shares are trading higher after the company reported strong preliminary Q2 earnings. So we did not actually get the official earnings here. That's actually scheduled from 10 days from now. But we did get a preliminary read here, and it looks pretty good. Expects North American total revenue to exceed $365 million. The prior guide was for $345 million at the midpoint. Paid subscribers are expected to exceed 1.35 million. The prior guidance was 1.24. So it looks like we're getting some pretty good data ahead of earnings here. That's popping Fubo. You can see here on the chart, this actually looks pretty good. We got a nice little move higher here. This looks like this might be forming what looks like kind of a pennant or a bull flag here. The price is actually sitting above the VWAP, so maybe we can attack this pre-market high of about 389 and see if we get any resistance there at 4. Quick look around the horn on this one, 12.99% of the float shorted here on Fubo. It also has 4.19 days to cover, so a little bit higher than some of the other stocks that we've looked at. The average volume for this one, much higher than some of these other stocks we've looked at, 15 million shares. Today, on the back of this news, we've already traded 3.3. I expect us to eclipse that. The one thing to keep in mind here on Fubo, 334 million shares in the float. So this thing trades thick and is unlikely to go on one of those humongous runs that we see from some of these movers. What do you got?
Real quick, if you could just go to a daily chart, I'll just make my point, and then we can move on to the big names.
Perfect.
So on a daily chart here, we are in this territory from earlier this year in January, where there was a lot of back and forth consolidation. So we've got a lot of supply we're moving up to, and you can see that back in May and June, we both tried to hit this area around 390, which this is the area where we went up to this morning. It was rejected both times. I wouldn't be surprised if we we already got rejected there in the pre-market once, but in the regular session, if we go up here to the 390 area, I wouldn't be surprised if we got rejected again. Now, there's always a possibility that we get enough volume to move that massive float through a portion of this. But I don't know that we're going to get completely all the way through. I think $4 might be the best you could hope for. And if we get more than that, then great. But I think for me, if we are going to get any trades out of this, the resistance area from $3.90 to $4 looks particularly tough. So I wouldn't try to hope against hope on this one, seeing as how we've already had a couple of rejections there. Just don't get caught in this one and have it go south on you. So just keep in mind where these big areas of resistance are if you're going to be trading this today.
Okay. Really good stuff there on Fubo, and you're right about that 390. I'll tell you what, that spot does look important here. That is definitely something that we can factor into the trading here today. Okay, one more quick. We're running out of time here. I'm sorry. Several of you have mentioned this one. We normally don't cover penny stocks, but this is right on the border of flirting with dollar territory, and there actually is a catalyst here. Several of you have mentioned CLDI. The stock was about 55 cents yesterday. Here we are knocking on the door of $1. Kalidi Biotherapeutics shares are trading higher after the company announced it received FDA fast track designation for one of its drugs, CLD 201. Is that 20? Yeah, 201. Take a quick look at the short interest here. 10.9% of the float shorted. That's actually a double from the prior read. So short interest has been going up recently on this name. Maybe that means this thing will get a little juiced here today. We'll see. Days to cover here of 1. And again, that comes on an average volume of 14 million shares. Today, we've traded 93.2 million. Remember, these penny stocks these penny stocks have incredible volume on their own. We're seeing that here with CLDI. 13, do you have anything on this?
No, I do not. Sorry, I was kind of getting ahead for the next one we're probably going to talk about. I'm looking at UNH. But if that's not the one you want to go to next, go for it.
I just really quickly want to talk about PayPal. This is one that we discussed yesterday. I don't know what on earth is going on with why don't I have my moving averages here? Oh my goodness. Let me try refreshing here. I'm sorry. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Okay, let me go back to my chart tool here. Let's see if that resolved it. Where are you, chart tool? No, it's not going to load at all. Good Lord. I'm trying 13. You want to just go with UNH?
Will it come up?
No, it won't.
Click calendar and then click chart again. Usually it does. The switching fixes it, but yeah, sorry. I could just share my screen if you want.
Yep.
Okay. Go there. There you are. Okay, so here's PayPal.
Oh, okay. That's it. There you go. Thank you. All right. So, oh boy, I can't even see.
Yeah, I got a whole bunch of.
Oh my God. Okay. So PayPal here. So the one thing that I wanted to mention here, we talked about this yesterday. We talked about PayPal really kind of having a setup like it wants to move higher. Now we're not getting it though on the back of this earnings report. You can actually see that this is coming in. This actually lost 75. Now it's holding this low area here. So I actually want to see how this trades here today. Oh, looks like more lows as this continues to get shellacked. I want to watch PayPal here because if this firms up at all, we might actually have a trade to the upside. Understand it's looking pretty weak here today.
Just highlighting the area we were talking about yesterday, those upper shadows, they didn't look great. It was looking nice. It was great that we had 3 closes above the 200, but this wasn't looking great. And then I guess what was the real bad news here on this?
Earnings.
Yeah, I know it was earnings, but like there was what part of the earnings is causing this sell-off? I mean, it was just
the guide was the estimate was basically at the high end of the range here. I actually haven't gone through the report because it was this morning, and obviously I had the show.
Okay, well, we know that this is trading lower now. We lost the 50-day SMA in the process. If there's gonna be a bounce coming, let's look at around 70. I suppose that's down here. Not sure if we're going to get a bounce down there. Maybe 71 might be better. I think I would, yeah, let's take a look and see what happens around 71 if it gets that low. We're trading at 71, 72 right now, so not too far away. If there's a bounce coming, I would think that the first spot's going to be there. And if we lose that, that 71 level, we're probably going to come down to the 500 down here.
Okay, you want to do UNH next? Before I know we're running out of time here, so
UNH. Oops, that's not it. UNH. There we are. Okay, so this we were saying, or at least I was saying yesterday, that two things are going to happen. One of two things: either they're going to withhold guidance, or they're going to report it and it's going to be bad. Well, they reported it and it was bad. I think it was like $6 EPS loss compared to the estimates. I think that's what it was. Anyway, we're
I don't have it in front of me.
We're about to open. This looks like it's heading lower. We're still on that 250 trajectory, or the lows from May 15th, and we're open.
And we are open.
All right.
Okay. Not getting any read here on the scanner yet.
Fubo up. Here we go.
I can bring. Let's see if the chart actually works for me here. There we go. Calendars work. Okay, we're good. We're good. Here is Fubo. Nice little pop out of the gate. Actually, new highs there on that pop out of the gate.
Yep, right up to let's see, right up to and almost through that $4 area. I think the high, what was that high? 396. So slightly higher than those prints from June and May, but we are still poised to come back in. Let's see what we end up getting out of this. It looks like you could. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say Fubo moving higher. Go ahead.
Yeah, looks like you could even draw a trend line from the two wicks earlier this morning at 835 and 850. That might be where you see the price run up to before you really get a pullback. That would take it right to about $4, maybe a penny or two above $4.
Okay,
all right. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say we'll see if we get that move up towards that trend line here. Here's SoFi. This also moving out of the gate here. This actually just ripped off the pre-market high there. SoFi shares trading higher after the company raised full year 25 EPS and and sales guidance. SoFi here popping. Who's on this one? I feel like this has been a really popular trade for our group recently. Ondas, by the way, Ondas has been absolutely sick recently, and looking like it is not going to help at all here today. We lost 2 on volume here today on Ondas. The daily chart looks horrific. I almost wonder where this thing's going to firm up here. I'll let you know if I feel strongly about it, but really, really poor trading action here from ONDS the past week. By the way, seeing some SoFi calls following that move here out of the gate. Looks like these are all the this week calls. So these are short-term trades as SoFi continues to pop.
Fubo right to our trend line, kind of sticking around here for the time being. May still go higher. SRPT.
Oh my God, that did go right through the trend line.
This RPT going down to the 200 EMA, soar, not soaring, VCIG kind of back and forth, but we're near the open. SLRX halted to the upside after bouncing off the 200 EMA. And SCNI dropped, popped, and now it's just kind of, neutral at the moment. Fubo really moving, 414 now.
Yeah, Fubo's been wild here right out of the open. Good stuff on this, Izzy. You must be having a great morning on Fubo.
Yeah, so next resistance area for Fubo, 430, and then I would say 450 after that. SCNI popping through its 65 EMA, trying to get through 3 where there's a big seller. It's hitting them. It's going to take out 3, it looks like.
I'm going to try another refresh here real quick.
Slightly higher than 3 prints, but they're still refilling it and trying to push it down. Nice little move in that one. We're getting mentions with CSNI. Yeah, that's the one that we were just looking at here. Here we go. Now we're through 3 and we're going higher. Looks like next resistance area could be about 340.
What ticker? Sorry.
SCNI.
SCNI, not CNSI. All right, 354 is that VWAP there. Let me pull this one up in my broker here, get an idea of what the level 2 is doing.
Okay, here we are coming up to that 340. This is the next resistance area. If we take this out, then we're looking at 350. I believe it's at 350.
Indeed. Some option flow here. Tesla, the opposite of yesterday. Tesla pulling right out of the gate here. I know we had a huge move higher here on Tesla post the open. Looks like we're doing the reverse here. We'll see if 320 can hold here on Tesla. Boy, oh boy.
Elon Musk must be trading FUBO because it hit 420 and it pulled back. And
is he sure it's not wisdom?
Oh, where is that? Yeah, he may be trading FUBO, but it's trying to hold above its VWAP right now and that trend line that we drew. And if it successfully does, then we're still looking for higher prints into the 4 handle.
SCNI going back towards that VWAP there did not quite hit it on that first attempt. They did pull it off a little bit, but we might have another attempt here.
Billy's mentioning that JetBlue is getting a pop. Okay, looks like SCNI is trying to get going.
13, I'm going to step away for just 1 sec. BRB.
Sounds good. The spot a good buy at this point? The spot earnings today. I believe they did. Let me look here. They issued guidance below estimates. Now, let me look at their chart. I don't know that I'd be necessarily buying up here. We just had a massive run. I think for me, I'd want to wait a little bit more for some more cooling. Now, I don't know what your plan is for trading this. If this is like a long-term position or just something that you're going to trade for the day or swing it. But maybe if it's a long-term hold, then sure, down here could be a potentially great time to buy. But if it's just for a trade or a swing, I'm not sure that this is all the selling that we're going to see. So depends on what your plan is. It does look like it's a pretty decent area to consider going long for a long-term hold, but I don't know about a short-term trade. Let's see, we're AMKR, so smoked tuna. Took a look at that one. Oh yeah, this one gapped up and gapped over the 200-day SMA, and it's trying to reach the 500-day SMA. We're still trying to get some breakout action with SCNI. I'm keeping an eye on that one. But this one that we're looking at right now, AMKR, we're trying to fight through some consolidation that goes back from October to January, from October of 2024 to January of this year. Lots of consolidation it's trying to chew through right now. And then at the top of that consolidation is the 500-day SMA. We're looking at AMKR, Ryan.
Okay.
Take it easy, Brent.
Here is your AMKR. Wow, what a breakout. So this was just on the back of the price target rate. Did this have other... I'm sorry to make you repeat it. I know I just got back here. Oh, they had earnings. They had earnings after hours. That answers my question.
I didn't cover the reason why it's moving. I was just looking at the chart and I just noticed that, hey, we're in this big consolidation area from October to January, and we're trying to chew our way through it. At the very top of that consolidation is the 500-day SMA, which is, I think, a target that this price action is looking towards here. And 28 is just above where the 500-day SMA is, which is the price target that Needham raised to.
Okay, SGD here. This is popping. WIS on this one. We got the VWAP here, 128. This looks like it's making a dash for it. I'm still watching SCNI out of the corner of my eye here. That's not quite at the VWAP, but it does look like it's trying to make a move towards that. Interestingly enough, some BMNR calls getting bought here today. Remember, they did an offering here. Kathy had just bought this yesterday. BMNR close to going red green here, only down by 3%, but that could happen very quickly. Keep an eye on BMNR.
SRPT went all the way down to its it lost the 65 EMA, went down to the 200. It's getting some support from the 200. So the next thing I want to see here is the price recapture VWAP. Then this thing might be able to turn around and go on to recapture some of those other EMAs that it lost recently.
So just got a flood of new options in there. It took my brain a second to process it, to be quite honest with you. SoFi here looks like 25 is what stopped it. We'll see if that sets up again. NVIDIA. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think Christoph is talking about SLRX. Who just second halt just got in. Is that what the case is? Because it looks like this, when we unhalt, we're going to be aiming for the VWAP. Probably will go through it, but I don't know if we'll hold above it. Just something to think about with SLRX. Nice momentum off the 200 EMA, though. Second halt now. And SCNI lost VWAP, got support from the 65 EMA, but it's still having a hard time recapturing VWAP. Or at least my VWAP. I think your VWAP might be different.
Okay, sorry, just handling a couple more things on the end here. Team is working on this intermittent scanner issue, so I expect that to be resolved here pretty soon. Nonetheless, SCNI, we have not yet broken down. Tuna, you said SCNR not ready. I think you meant SCNI. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. We are still waiting for this to really kind of test that VWAP. We're not getting it yet, but I'll tell you what, it still kind of feels like it might do that here. See, 320 looks to be one of these spots, maybe 319, and then all the way up to that VWAP.
He's also mentioning SGD.
Sorry to interrupt. Graph, nice job making some money there. SCNI, you might get another opportunity.
Right.
Sorry, 13, get in there.
No worries. Just mentioning that SGD is because he was talking about it. Spoke to it, saying was mentioning it. That's above its VWAP, starting to put in some upper shadows if this candle closes the way it is right now. And we are still trying to get now when it comes to SCNI, I have it going above and below my VWAP, but yours it hasn't quite hit your VWAP. Let's go with yours. And what is that your VWAP's value?
347 here on SCNI.
Okay, perfect. So that's about where the topping out was at about 720, 725 in the pre-market.
Yep.
So I'm going to be keeping a little bit of a horizontal line right there for my own charting. It's the level to break above. If we get above that, I think we'll probably see some better price action. PLL, nice move. You know what I'm noticing about that is that it has these really big moves in either direction, depending on whether or not the rest of the sector is running or not. So if let's say if like rare earths or FCX is up, PLL will have like a 7, 8, 10% move, but if they're down, they'll have the same move in the same direction. So just notice that something I noticed with PLL, Piedmont Lithium.
Those lithium plays might still be hot here too. Let me actually bring PLL. It's been a couple of days since I've looked at that chart here. Maybe not yet. Izzy saying, Ryan, I loaded UAVS and Fubo last week for some nice swings. There you go. You're getting paid here today. Good stuff on that, Izzy. AMD, we had a big move yesterday. AMD continuing that move here today.
Yeah, this thing's going to have to cool off at some point. And this comes from somebody who owns it. I love that it's moving like this, but it's had so many days where it just keeps getting extended. It's going to come back in. I'd like to see this correct so it doesn't absolutely crater when it does cool off.
Right.
Maybe we see that around from anywhere from like 180 to 185. We might see that the price start to come back in.
All right, PayPal here. This is one of the things I'm going to be looking at here today. This is the formation of the candle that we have here so far. I wonder if the bottom is in here today on PayPal.
We were getting asked that earlier too.
Because if it is, I actually think that this might make a decent trade, I guess, just based on the chart. I did take a look at the seasonality earlier here for PayPal. Here, I actually have it handy right now. Seasonality somewhat sideways. So unless this chart really sets up perfectly, I don't feel great about this because we don't have as many data points lining up here. Also, worth noting here that as we get a little bit closer to the end of the year, PayPal has a humongous or a really positive seasonality track. And then looking ahead to next May-ish, PayPal, really good seasonality. So not yet here. We'll see if this PayPal sets up. Let me go back to my main chart here real quick.
SLRX is open and it went right up to VWAP, and now it's coming back.
And bring that up here. We'll take a look at that. SCNI, Tuna, you did it again, dude. Tuna does it one more time. By the way, I watched Star Wars last night just for the hell of it. So we're going to get Chewbacca involved.
Did you really?
Yeah. I put it just as, because I always put on a movie that I've seen before just to kind of relax right before I go to sleep. And I chose A New Hope yesterday. And I actually, did you too?
My son wanted to watch. He's only seen the prequels, the first three. So he wanted to watch A New Hope. So I was like, all right, we'll watch it. We literally
Great minds think alike. Tell your son he's brilliant. I like that. So anyway, SCNI did not quite get to that VWAP. Tuna, you look to be correct. It was not ready to go yet. We'll see if it actually sets up again. One of those levels. Sorry, I'm looking at a chart that you guys can't see. I apologize about that. Let me get the SCNI chart up here. One of those levels I'd be concerned about here, this 259. I know we pulled a little bit lower than that. What do we get to here? Yeah, 251. So this 250 area, if this holds here, maybe we have a chance later on. So far, no bueno.
Fubo been hanging out at VWAP until just a moment ago when it pushed back up. Now it's flirting with that 420 level again, where it's a session high. Looking to take that out. Lots of sellers from 420 to 435. And what else we have here to look at? Looks like a lot of these names. SOAR doesn't look like it ever really got to SOAR. But do see a trend line that we could infer a upside move from if it happens to find some footing at some point. Right now, it's not going to be the 65 EMA. Maybe it's the 200. We haven't stopped this selling yet. So once this stops, we'll get an idea of where we can go long to trade.
Real quickly here, I'm just taking a look at some other charts here. It looks like the technology move higher that we had yesterday being reversed here today. Apple, Netflix, Amazon, all at lows. Tesla also at lows. We talked about that one a little bit earlier. PayPal, I guess you could throw that in there. That's at lows. The one that seems to be bucking the trend here is NVIDIA. This actually gapped higher. We've bounced a little bit, so we're holding higher here by about 1%, but tech otherwise under pressure. I'm going to take a quick look here at the market overview. Let's get these heat maps loaded up here. Looks like we're actually still seeing some green arrows here in the information technology. That's about it that I see here so far. Yeah, I guess financials, for the most part here, doing pretty well. See if there's any other sector we can get into. What are you folks looking at? ARM also up. Chip sector is strong. Okay, so we're seeing some more there. Just looks like some of these tech names a little bit weak. Yeah, get in there, 13. Sorry.
Well, Christoph got to it. He said SLRX halted. It's not volatile though. Yeah, it's halted. It got through the VWAP. It's just a bit of a slow mover here. That's interesting for a 2 million float stock. But we are coming up to resistance area where it was support previously in the pre-market. That's 235. You can look at the pre-market. You can see that was a support back around 525 this morning. And then we lost that support at 705. Now we're coming back up to test it. Let's keep in mind that we could see a rejection here, or it's just going to take it out and we'll come back up to 275.
CELC, this is one that you had mentioned earlier. This had the big pop in the pre-market, kind of a disappointment the rest of the day on its trading action. Today, however, curling back up. Now, it did stop right at that area that we held sideways before really kind of leaking into the close. So I'd actually, for this to really kind of come back into play here today, I'd like to see it bust above the top end of this range. Unsure if it's got the strength there, but CELC, this was a mover from yesterday, might be setting up here.
Fubo putting in a series of upper shadows that may indicate that we're going to be turning around here. So be careful with Fubo. We got having a hard time getting back to 420 and above 420. Lots of sellers in the way, like I was mentioning earlier, from 420 now to 440.
Robert, good morning. It's great to see you again, as always, brother. VST and TEL also look good. Here's VST. Now, this has earnings in 9 days. Robert, do you have any insight on the earnings print on this one? I know you do a lot of earnings for, a lot of trading on those earnings prints. Let me know if VST is on the list for you. Market big pull here. So everything. Dow is at the lows. NASDAQ pretty much erasing its gain. SPY at the lows. SPY actually going lower than it was in the pre-market. Did we test that pre-market low? Let me bring the chart up here. Sure did. So we are below the pre-market low. Lower we go here on the SPY.
All right. Let me see what the TQQQ looks like now. That's not enough. I have view up at 91.23, the price at 90.85. So that's not enough yet. We need to see it at least $1.25, I think, in TQQQ away from the VWAP. But you're right. We are getting a market pull here. Fubo still hasn't broken down beneath VWAP yet, but it is not looking great to me right now. Don't like those upper shadows. Now, maybe I'm get completely proven wrong here, and it just has a massive candle that goes beyond 420. But the volume isn't really looking great. So I'm a little concerned that this may come back in here.
PayPal did try to bounce here. Good mention there, Joe, on this recapturing 73. It was very, very brief, but it looks like it's testing that here again. I'm going to keep an eye on PayPal here today. I definitely want to see if this firms up at all. Don't trust it just yet. Smoke Tuna mentioning STAI is going. Tuna, what is the rating, the Tuna AI signal say about STAI? We are coming up to this 110 area. This was the pre-market high. I know we just peaked above that, but I'd really like to see us move above that with some authority. Wiss mentioning round 2 on SCNI. That's curling up off the bottom. Unsure if I trust this enough, but we are getting that curling action. Remember, Wiss, every time, if you're going to trade this curl here, I got to think that if you get close to that VWAP, you at least got to book some of these because this stock has shown no ability to get above that VWAP here yet today. Maybe it does, but if you're going to trade the curl here, I think it's probably a good idea to lighten some of that right at that VWAP. Yeah,
there's a big seller at 3. This could, if there's no other big sellers in the way up until 315, we might see a big jump up to that level if it takes out this seller at 3, because I don't see a lot of concentrations up until about 315.
Okay, that's a really good insight there on the level 2. Thank you, 13. Samel saying the jolts, just saying jolts. That print is coming here in under 9 minutes. We'll bring it to you as soon as it comes here. Producer's got my back, so I'm sure he'll flash the numbers on the screen if I get carried away and I'm looking at something else. Zach McCracken mentioning here, PayPal announced they will integrate payments with crypto. Like I said here with PayPal, I think that there's actually some runway here for this company to really kind of make a move higher. 13, I know you outlined something else that we're going to look into on PayPal, or something else that we're going to watch there. But worth noting, there should be some runway ahead of PayPal. SCNI attacking 3 here.
Well, it went through 3 and it popped up to let's see, how high did this go? 310. So when it took out that seller at 3, it did get that pop, but there's other sellers that came in and refilled it. So that's why we're back beneath 3 again. But we did get that quick move up through 3 and a little bit higher. Might need 30 more minutes for SCNI. Okay. It seems like it's been a little bit better trading today.
There's definitely been some better moves here today. The only thing that the only thing I'm worried about here is I'm wondering how much carry through there's going to be. So far, what I'm seeing here is that if you take any, don't be afraid to take gains if you get them.
Yeah. Yep. Lots of quick in and outs here. Here we go. Fubo now is starting to break down beneath the trend line and VWAP. It's doing it very slowly, so there could be a bounce coming as well. But it's not looking great right now, and I think these upper shadows are kind of signaling that. So let's see what we end up getting here with Fubo. Next support that I would see if it continue this downside, Not, AMAs notwithstanding, that's going to be about 387, I think. NEGG has been a beast lately. That's Newegg, right?
Yep, that's a Newegg. Ticker NEGG neg, as we call it colloquially.
Well, yeah, this thing having about $5 movement.
Let me ask you a question. Do you have a soft spot? Do you have a soft spot in your heart? That's what I tried to mix up there. Do you have a soft spot in your heart for Newegg, being as I know you're just like me. You've been building computers forever, and we used Newegg almost exclusively when we first got into that. Does that play in at all to you? Because that definitely does to me. Companies that I've used with great success, I definitely have a positive bias for. Is that the case for you on Newegg?
Well, I use it's really going to be the product I'm looking for at the cheapest price. Sometimes that's Newegg, sometimes it's Amazon, and sometimes it's what's the other site that I use? Well, anyway, there's another one that I also use. So, but when it comes to trading them, I kind of have to separate my own bias from the stock that I'm trading, because I don't want to get emotionally attached to it.
Fair enough. I think that's smart.
I don't know if Newegg's a China company.
I don't think so. I'll read this to you. Sweet one. But I agree with 13. From what I remember, all of these products were shipped from California, and not that matters. But here, Newegg Commerce is an e-commerce company offering direct sales and an online marketplace platform for IT computer components, consumer electronics, entertainment, smart home, and gaming products, and provides certain third-party logistics services globally. Geographically, it operates in the United States, Canada, and the rest of the world. United States and Canada, very clearly the top markets here. I would not call this Chinese.
It is Chinese. So here's how it's broken. I'm sorry. Here's how it's broken down. It was founded in the United States. It was acquired by Hang Xiao Liaison Interactive in 2016. And they invested in Newegg, and they secured a majority stake. Then through the SPAC merger, Lianlu Smart Limited is a Chinese SPAC, and they brought Newegg to market through that SPAC merger. So it is a United States founded company that is now under Chinese ownership.
Interesting. Okay, thank you for clearing that up for me. Pete here, it originated in California stateside. That's what I thought there. Sweet one, good stuff there. Good stuff there. And 13, I appreciate the gap fill, if you will.
There we go. Yeah, EKS, excellent. Thank you.
I will say, though, despite all of that, I have never one time had a problem with Newegg. And in fact, there was one year where I ordered a graphics card that came dead on arrival, and they RMA'd it for me with no cost and did it really, really quickly. There was another incident where I ordered a case. This was completely my fault. I actually ordered a computer case for a new build that I was doing, and my graphics card would not fit in the case. And despite me opening the package, they gave me a full refund on that. So I'll just say that my experience with Newegg is that it's been excellent. And I have very fond memories because my parents literally thought I was a genius when I was a kid, because I put a computer together and it worked. In fact, it worked better than the computers they bought for. I think some of that has worn off now, but nonetheless.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what that other vendor was aside from Amazon and Newegg.
Tiger Direct.
No, it wasn't that one.
That was one of them. The Fry's would have been another one.
Oh, I would physically go to Fry's. That was
Micro Center was another store that I would physically go to.
I didn't go into Micro Centers as much as I was going into Fry's. Fry's was the place that where going back to the early 90s. That's where I would go to for my PC components. Looks like SCNI is starting to get a lift here, making its way back to the 65 EMA. Not visiting the VWAP quite yet again, but still trying to get a lift up there.
Graph asking if we've covered DRRX. Here it is. This is
takeover.
Direct. This what?
It's a takeover, but it's going higher for some reason. Yeah,
this is halted, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it looks like this is halted here. Oh no, it's open now. 245 stacks up 344%. As 13 mentioned, this was a takeover here, 175 per share. I would not trust this one.
I wouldn't either. You're going to be the one that's going to buy it above that share price, and then you're going to get trapped with everybody that is up there. I'd be very careful trading this one.
Jane, this is good to hear. Neg, I buy refurbished laptops from them. Pro tip, this is actually a good way to get a fairly decent laptop at a reduced price. One quit working well past the warranty, and they still replaced it for free. That's exactly what I want to hear. Nobody likes getting a new computer refurbished or otherwise and have it stop working in short order. SCNI, it looks like this was trying to pop here, but we still couldn't set a new high. Yep. This still backed off 3 yet again. That level still obviously a key level here.
Yeah, sorry, it's sad to hear about Fry's not having the prominence it used to, because that was like the toy store for tech nerds, But now we have everything shipped to us. So
I'll be honest, man. When I was younger, I was still in my 20s at the time, so it's not that long ago. Me and one of my buddies, man. After work in the evening, we would drive down to Micro. You talk about tech nerds, man. We would go to Micro Center. We would nerd out over some of that. And some of the people that worked there, they were also tech nerds. And they'd get involved in these conversations. I would learn so much about building computer parts just from window shopping, basically, at Micro Center. SCNI, we're getting back up here, testing 3 as we speak.
Yep. Let's hammer it home. Squeeze me home.
You got it, 13. You got it.
Oh man, that was special.
Crocodile Dumb Me saying, meanwhile, the People's Republic, I think you mean of China, has videos of Ryan feeding the cat. That would be ideal, because I would think that some of those videos might go viral. Perhaps I could make a couple of pennies off that. Haven't got my check yet, though.
All right, we are over 3 in SCNI, looking for some higher prints. Still have that 350 level marked.
Jolt's job openings. Okay, that is probably out here now. Let's see what that data print is. I know several of you were waiting on that. USA, Jolt's job openings for June, 7.437 million. That's a little bit lighter than the 7.51 million estimate. US CB consumer confidence for July, 97.2. That's a little bit hotter than the 95.9 estimate. There are your data prints. And oh, look at that. All I had to do was take it off the screen, folks. That's all I had to do. SCNI through 3 now, 310. Looks like it is going for that VWAP. I've got that VWAP at 338 here. We really need to see this get above it. Pete, as far as your question earlier here, I actually felt good about knowing what Fry's was. Who remembers Soft Warehouse? Not me. I don't know what this is.
I'll do you one better. Remember Computer City?
No, CompUSA was the old one that I remember, but not Computer City. Boy, we're going right down nostalgic lane here.
Yeah, we are. Meanwhile, there's trades to happen. Fubo, this thing is trading beneath VWAP now. Still trying to hold itself up and recapture that VWAP, but mostly sideways, these real bodies are.
Pete here saying Micro Center, the Montgomery Ward. Now there's a blast from the past. You might as well have said Woolworth in there. The Montgomery Ward of PC stores, no frills. Somehow it kept rolling. Glad to see they're still around. Yo, that Micro Center, every time I go there, Pete, there is tremendous foot traffic in there. When they have launches of new graphics cards, there's lines out the door. They start at like 6 o'clock in the morning. Micro Center, at least in the Chicagoland area, doing pretty well here. And Soft Warehouse became CompUSA. So does that count? I remember CompUSA. Does that count? I need an official ruling on that one.
SLRX hit VWAP, gapped down through a series of halts. Now it's trying to rebound and come back up. If it makes its way back to the 65 EMA on this volume here, we might get another halt to the upside.
That's SLRX, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And
gotcha.
Folks mentioning Circuit City. Remember the good guys?
The good guy. I remember Circuit City. I remember the advertisement of that red thing being a plug, and I remember that. But what are the good
service
guys?
Is state of the art.
Oh my God! Yes, 13. Oh man. Does anyone else feel old? Can I get some ones in the chat if you feel old here today? Because I'm in that camp.
Good morning, Mike. We're feeling old.
Oh, that's funny.
Smoked tuna, the VCIG looks like this is trying to make its way back to VWAP. Is this setting up, or is it still need more time? Also, SOAR getting support from its 65 EMA that has recaptured its VWAP. Keep an eye on this one. This might make its way toward the trend line that we drew earlier this morning off the highs in the pre-market.
Tara here saying Radio Shack first computer. So I remember the day I went to go buy my first ever laser pointer. I had saved up money from cleaning out gutters and mowing my dad's lawn, and I went to Radio Shack with my mom to buy a laser pointer. Oh, it was a makeshift lightsaber for me at that time. I was going to have some serious fun with that. Good old Radio Shack. Good old Radio Shack.
We used to make lightsabers out of flashlights and golf sleeves, like those plastic tubes that you can slide your clubs into.
You remember wrapping paper rolls? Roll up some magazines, put that in the roll. Oh man, times were simpler back then. SCNI above 310 now, still not quite at that VWAP, but boy, oh boy, is it making a run for it. CLDI it tried to graduate from penny territory, but couldn't. Came back in. Someone else was talking about PII earlier. This is Polaris. No. They are trading higher on the backs of some quality earnings. This looks like a gap and go on Polaris.
Was it? That was the one. Okay, I thought it was PLL that he was mentioning. Maybe I just got that wrong.
Oh, that was the Piedmont Lithium mention from earlier. I got it.
That did end up dropping out of the gate here. Looks like SOAR is about to soar towards that trend line that we drew.
SOAR has a bad connotation for me because CNBC a while ago used to say everything was soaring. Stock is soaring, and I look at it, it's up 3%. I'm like, come on, guys. But I'll take the joke. Now, as far as the actual spot here, this was unable to take out its VWAP. Went right to it and rejected at it so far. Oh, Buffalo by bicycle. Now you're getting somewhere. Still running my Marantz receiver I bought from two guys with a pair of realistic speakers I bought 50 years ago from Radio Shack. Marantz audio equipment was the Brizzy Rizzy back in the day. I actually bought an old Marantz set that had a Marantz branded cabinet that I sold on eBay for like $3,000. That stuff is still highly sought after.
Yeah, it is. In my my theater, I have a Marantz for all the audio speakers.
Is it like an old school one?
It's a new one.
It's a new one. I don't have much experience with the new one, but I would bet that it is still super high quality. I still have my Marantz. Yeah, you had me at Marantz. Yeah, I bet. We got some audio files in here because that Marantz equipment was insane. By the way, Rocket getting a mention here from Rat's Session. That's an interesting handle. Rocket had a really ridiculous pullback from the short squeeze theme that we kind of saw among some of the other stocks. Nice to see Rocket here trading up. Remember, Rocket has earnings in 2 days. This is going to be Thursday, the big day after the market closes here. We'll see if we can recapture 16. Great news that we're holding above 15 here today.
Looks like VCIG is getting a little bit more of a lift through VWAP. Also, SOAR pulled off of that VWAP level. Now it's coming down to test my VWAP level, which is at 207. So this, I don't know if this is done or if this is just backing off to set up for the next push up. But we did get a pullback from SOAR. Meanwhile, we have SNCI still trying to take out 325. SRPT is recapturing its VWAP right now. What else? Looks like Fubo is still going to be heading lower. Looks to me like this might end up coming down to the 380s.
This Sarepta here, this will be interesting if it can get above the VWAP and start moving. By the way, folks, Anne-Marie confirmed for today. She wants to know if there are any stock tickers that we should look at to build out potential options trades. I want to say things like PayPal, Chipotle, maybe some of these stocks that have earnings here this week, but I don't want this to be about me. So let me know what stocks you want me to ask Anne-Marie. We can build some trades out on that.
Here's a great suggestion, because I just saw somebody asking, Joseph, how about some energy plays, guys? Check out LNG. He's in at 230. So maybe we could look at some energy plays, since that's getting a lift from the EU trade deal.
Okay. All right, so I'm basically gonna ask her what she thinks about potential energy plays. We'll see what she can come up with. If there are any specific ones, let me know. Please ask Anne Marie about energy sector stocks. We'll do that. Will do. Is he mentioning Uber here? This is a stock we look at often. Haven't really done it here today. Uber under pressure here today, it sounds like. Let's see if I can pull it up here real quick.
VCIG now at 110. This is about the area where it was getting rejected in the regular session and the pre-market after the impulse move.
Uber here real quick. This is at a potential support level here around 87. This was a previous high. Actually, this was a previous all-time high, and then became resistance again as we pushed through that all-time high. So this $87 level does represent a potential support here. Not sure if this is going to hold. Izzy, let me know what price you'd like to add back Uber for a swing, not necessarily just a day trade scalp.
SCNI, that popped up to, what is this? 330, and then backed off down beneath the VWAP again. You have a seller at 310 that's trying to walk this down. Take them out, and we'll see if we can get back to 330. Looks like it's trying to happen right now. SRPT, this is looking like it's trying to curl. Volume isn't great. SOAR down to the 65 EMA. VCIG, this is making its move beyond 110. And some very low volume. Just got a pop up to 113. Crocodile Dummy saying QRVO has earnings tonight. Graph mentioning NEE Energy.
Now, she did say that some traders seem to have front ran this energy trade. So I almost wonder if we, still have some legs in that. We'll ask her about that, though, without a doubt. Here's a look at your NEE chart. And yeah, I noticed that too. She did. She misspelled her name. It's Marie, not Mare.
SRPT. This is starting to look a little bit better here. It's making its way through some of these EMAs, still hanging out above VWAP, or at least mine. And it looks like it's trying to curl up to go higher. So might be getting something here out of SRPT.
I'll say this. I have no position on this. If I were to trade this, I would be very, very quick on the exit trigger with SRPT. I don't like newsprints about patients dying in trials, no matter whose fault it is. We'll see what happens with this one. I would just be a little bit careful on this. If you're going to swing this, maybe take some gains along the way. As far as SCNI goes, WIS, that was a good call on the curl, and look what happened. It pretty much went right to the VWAP, did not quite print it, just a couple of cents shy, and then stopped right there. See if it goes through it again. VWAP clearly one of the key levels here on the stock today.
Hold on a second. WIS, how high do I think Oracle can go this year? I still think this needs to kind of cool off a little bit in certain aspects, but this, I don't have I don't think this is going to have a problem getting to 300. I don't know if we're going to see higher than that. But unless there's some kind of correction in the market that hammers all tech, I think that 300 is possible. When I got into Oracle last month, and I think this is going to be a long-term hold for me. So I'm looking for 300 plus. This is a big player in the data center and the AI space. So as long as that keeps going, so too will Oracle.
STAI. Pavel looking at STAI. This actually has some pretty good volume. Pavel, the one thing that's notable here, this thing stopped at 125. This was definitely a resistance area from yesterday's after hour. Scantech AI system shares are trading higher after the company announced it will offer technology through its TIPS contract. It entered in with Creek Source Consulting. So it looks like we got that piece of news in the after hours yesterday. This now attacking that same resistance area it found yesterday.
You SoFi players, get ready. I think you could get another move here in SoFi pretty soon. We've been hanging out above VWAP for most of this morning here after we had this impulse move to 25. So I'd be just looking to see if we can get another move over 24 and a half, maybe a little bit higher than that, because that seems to be where there's been some price rejection. Is maybe closer to 24.75. Let's get through that, and then we might be able to see the other side of 25 again here soon.
Okay, SoFi, good mention. SCNI coming up to the VWAP here. I would just be careful with this one. Again, pulled right off of that VWAP. Actually pulled down to 3 there and held it so far. This SCNI, kind of a quick mover here on this one. We'll see if it can get through the VWAP. That actually might unlock some more prices higher on SCNI. Tuna, you had said earlier this one isn't ready. What do you think now? Or does it actually need to clear that VWAP out before it's officially ready?
It might go right now.
Watching it right here, 334, that interesting spot. My trading view has this marked off at 335. My broker's got it at 334. That seems to be the spot. And through, we'll see if it gets pulled here. A little bit of a pull right off the bat. We'll see if this pull lasts a little bit longer. If we build above this VWAP here, you might have some move higher. I've got 340 as the next spot higher here.
There's a big old seller that just showed up at 335.
Yeah, that's Daniel here on top of that. The sellers on SCNI are insane. Indeed, we've seen that here a number of times. It really needs the flush in order to move higher. 340 definitely seems to be the spot for me as well, Daniel. We're watching this VWAP here, but 340, the high end of that range. Still right at the VWAP here. Plenty of time to actually book some of the gains if you hit that curl. Rocket up 3.8%. Nice to see that bouncing back a little bit here today.
God, so many things are just kind of going sideways right now. Well, guess I'll have some of my coffee.
I'm finishing my coffee.
Oh, man.
I just can't help it.
It's funny when you just say one movie line and I know exactly what it's talking about.
Here's my question. By the way, SCNI through 340 there.
Perfect.
There are a number of you folks were asking about TerraWolf earlier. This popped pretty huge off the open, but really bled all those gains back. Same deal here. We really want to get above and build above that VWAP. That's at 528 here, WULF. I'm going to go back to SCNI right now, though, because we did pop above 340. Now it's being pulled a little bit right back down to VWAP. A hold here, to me, really sets the stage for a move higher.
Fubo coming down to the first from the highs of the to the highs of the pre-market, that being about 389. We just dropped down to that level. It's catching some support because the next candle has been turning around, but I don't know that we're necessarily going to start to recover here. This may just go sideways for a little bit before it heads lower. But just wanted to point that out with Fubo. We did get a bounce at that pre-market high level. Enjoying my coffee.
SCNI here still battling around 340. I really want to see this take hold. That would make me feel a little bit better about that trade there. Nice job if you tried this a little early. Actually just lost the VWAP there on this pullback. Again, really struggling to get above and stay above that VWAP. We'll see if that changes here at all. CELC, this is another one that we talked about yesterday. This did pop a little bit out of the open, but it's kind of traded sideways here. We'll see if it can break higher here. 40 looks to be the trigger there. STAI, more highs. Looks like this is now halted to the upside, 141. Tons of volume here, tons of buying volume. Now we've taken out the pre-market, the after hours high from yesterday. STAI, this looking good. What will be the next spot up here on this one?
I don't know why I didn't have that on my list here, but now
161 maybe. STAI, it looks like we did a Fibonacci retracement back in January on this move, and we've got some levels higher here. I'm not sure we'll get there yet.
I like that price action that we got from the after hours into the today. That's a nice scallop. So that took us all the way up to 129, 130, and then we backed off that, found some support around 85 cents in the after hours, And that's kind of been the bottom ever since. Now we've taken out that 129, 130 level. Let's see where this could end up going here, because that is also a recapture of the 65 EMA.
Yeah, I'll be honest, 13, it sure looks like $2. This is going to be the high end of the sideways area from April earlier this month. That might be your next spot here. We're only at 141 in this halt. And then above that, I've got 379, 394, and 441.
Okay, I like that $2 spot. $3, yeah. Now, after that, one that really stands out to me is 470. I don't know that we'll get that high, but I would expect it to get some rejection up there at 470.
Rhett, that coffee scene from Pulp Fiction, it is excellent, but just out of respect for everybody, I'm not going to quote any of the lines from that. I don't need to slip up or insinuate, frankly, but you're absolutely correct in that. That is a great scene from a great movie, frankly.
I know how good my coffee is because I'm the one that buys it.
There you go. You found probably the one clean line in there. That would be fine.
I'll sniff it out. Don't worry.
If I'm curt with you, it's because time is a factor. So
now, Mr. Wolf is a badass. That's probably one of his greatest scenes.
With sugar on top. Clean the effing car. That is, oh man, that is Harvey Keitel's character drives an Acura NSX. Hard to not like that. Okay, STAI, this halt happened here 3 minutes ago, so I'm thinking we're expecting a resumption in 2 minutes.
SCNI, we hit 347, and we are giving everything up now.
I did everything I could. To try and say that we really need to see this hold above the VWAP. It's really struggled with the VWAP. It's really not shown signs of going higher here. Now although we peaked above, we have another rejection set up here at the VWAP.
SLRX also halted to the downside after hitting VWAP.
I can't remember if someone mentioned Newmont Mining earlier. Maybe it was TEM, but I thought it was NEM, not TEM. Nonetheless, here, this is actually higher out of the open. Really hasn't started to move yet.
Got to mention from Izzy, UNH high of the day. This looks like it's This looks like it's gap filling from the open. So we'll probably see some resistance kick in around 280 if this continues to gap fill. And when it does gap fill, wouldn't surprise me at the least if 280 is about all it would give, and then it just turns around and continues its downside. That wouldn't surprise me at all. Not saying it's going to happen, but just something I'm keeping an eye on. But I do think 280, that's going to be a big resistance area.
Kamal's asking, Ryan, where do you see the level 2 market data in Benzinga? You do not see that in Benzinga. The level 2 market data is a feature of your broker. It is not a data source that we pay for and then charge customers for, because you get it for free in your broker in most cases.
Thank you, Jacob. He's mentioning STAI's got 1 minute on it, so we get out of this halt in about that time.
I'm actually going to leave that up on the screen. Good mention there, Jacob. We'll be ready for that. I do want to see if this pops higher here from this. Jay here. NEM had good earnings, gapped up and sold off, but the dip got bought. STAI is open. First move here is higher. 146 is that high print.
Joseph, I believe that's going to be the case as well. Here we go. STI open and higher.
And by the way, that 250 low that you're talking about, the actual dead low print, 248.88. So it's pretty much right there. STAI, although it did go higher out of this pop, it is really struggling to go higher from here. SCNI, by the way, is trying to bounce, but please don't trust that until the VWAP proves you that it can be trusted. Excuse me.
Fubo might be coming back down to the 370s area. That cannot hold above 387, where that pre-market high was. Then that's what I think is happening next. We're going to go down to the 65 EMA.
STAI battling here. We'll see if this has enough to push.
And then just as I said that, Fubo is starting to go down right to that level. Now flirting with 380. And there's 378. Whoever you are that's watching the stream and being the whale in Fubo, can you please stop so everybody else can have a chance?
UAVS pull, I'll tell you what, Ondas looks sick, as I have mentioned earlier. This thing cannot get out of its own way. This is definitely not a long until this thing can firm up at all. We actually might be coming back into $1.50, which is just what a disappointment.
Thank you, Tess. And yeah, I think we kind of had we were talking about that yesterday about how we thought UNH would be not so great. Maybe either might not provide guidance, or it's just going to be bad. And they provided it and it was bad. Yeah, we're looking for lower prints in UNH after this gap fill. Yeah, there are too many bad quotes in Fubo. Yep.
SRPT, this might be gearing up to move through its VWAP there, 775 on SRPT. It does look like the sell-off, at least now, has tempered.
Wow. No kidding. CLS is wild. Over 200 now. This thing, this is, post earnings, and they guided very, very well. And this is one of the reasons why I want to try to sniff out some of these supply chain solution companies. As the tariffs and these trade deals take hold, we're seeing global shift in supply chains. These are the companies that other businesses are going to look or seek out to reestablish supply chains. So this is the kind of thing I want to try to find. Which ones are coming up next with earnings? Which ones look like they're about to go on a run? They need a catalyst. Maybe the earnings are their catalyst, or some kind of supply chain solution deal with another major company. That's what I'd be looking for right now. Because look at CLS, and ever since the April, the Liberation Day unwind, just straight up riding this 20-day SMA. And here we go with SGD. This is continuing to rise as well.
Chester saying, how about XPro? Here is XPro. This stock was about $9 yesterday. This actually new highs just a second ago. XPro Group Holding shares are trading higher after the company reported better than expected Q2 financial results and issued full year 25 revenue guidance above estimates. So a nice little earnings catalyst here, popping XPro 24%.
Lots of sellers, SGD at 140 and 150. If volume increases, we can take those out. They're about to hammer the 141 pretty soon here.
This SGD move through the VWAP there. This is what we were looking for on SCNI that we never got.
Looks like SLRX is halted to the downside now after another failed attempt to capture VWAP. This thing has been having a hard time with VWAP all morning. We outlined that when we looked at it this morning. 1, 2 rejections in the pre-market after losing VWAP. Into the regular session, we are now 1, 2 rejections now of VWAP. Yes. Now, Kathy, JBL, I did, and Flex. I think we were looking at those, but I don't think I looked at TTMI. So thank you for that. But yes, we are. Those are the kinds of companies that we need to. I think we need to be looking at, because I just kind of made the whole case about the shifting of global supply chains. We could see some really good earnings out of these companies. So that's the thing that I think we need to be taking a look at.
Okay, next Flex earnings here real quick. This actually just reported, it looks like 5 days ago. So this report's out of the way. Their next report, not till the end of October, near Halloween. What was the other one on that? Okay, here, TTMI.
There was another one that we looked at. It had 2 symbols in their ticker.
Now, here you go. Really quickly here, TTMI, they report earnings tomorrow after the market closes. So we're going to get this report here tomorrow. TTMI. Good call on this, Kathy. JBL was the other one that you had mentioned. This here reports earnings end of September. Their earnings were back in the middle of June.
This thing's been on a similar run, very similar as CLS, and it's getting the same price action today as well. What their financials look like. Profitable company.
STAI here, 144.
It's a good balance sheet.
Novo Nordisk here. Things are getting Things are not great for Novo Nordisk. Remember,
Oh,
they were the ones
Novo.
they were the ones that ended that partnership with Hims, right? That sent him spiraling. Well, now Novo Nordisk, not great here. Shares are trading lower after the company lowered its 2025 sales outlook, citing reduced growth expectations for Wegovy and Ozempic in the U.S. and weaker Wegovy penetration. Guess maybe they should have stayed with Hims.
SGD, still trying to take out those concentrated areas at 140 and 150, but this still looking like it wants to go higher. Fubo all the way down to the 65 EMA, just like I said it would. Now it's getting a little bit of a bounce here. Might be some movement back up to like 380. I don't know that this is going back to 4. Maybe later in the day, but I don't think I want to trade this anymore today. This, like somebody was pointing out earlier, lots of bag holders. It's not really moving that well right now. Volume's not that great. So I don't know how much more we'll get out of this. Maybe it comes back later, but for now, I think I'd be done with Fubo. Meanwhile, STAI still making new session highs. TTMI.
Look at this pull on Fubo, man. That was a really good call, 13. This thing looks rough. DRRX, which we got asked about, that reversed its pop here. Remember, the 175 was the buyout price here. I'm glad we said when we covered this pop here, said really unsure why it's that high here. This is now pulling back a little bit.
That's interesting, Jay Rice. I mean, like I know you're joking, but at the same time, it's kind of interesting because somebody buys half of NVO. Do they kind of own half of Denmark's GDP? Because I don't know. I'm just kind of like spitballing with you, but that's really interesting statistic. Thank you.
Yassine here saying, I'm holding the bag on Netflix. Do you have any thoughts on the chart? Let me pull up the bigger Netflix chart here. We can take a look at that. The one thing that I will say here on Netflix is maybe we're going to see some sideways action here. You know what? Hang on a sec. I got to get this back. I got to load this back. I don't know what on earth is going on.
Well, while you're doing that, just want to point out it is 10:30. We should see some volume start to leave the market, or it has already been leaving the market. We're going to probably not have as many trades follow through with their patterns. So just keep that in mind as we head into this time during the session.
Yassine, here's what I'm thinking on Netflix. Here's what the daily chart looks like. To my eye here, it sure looks like a pullback towards 1117, 1120 are on deck. When we were talking about this before, we talked about 1100 being a fairly decent spot to add this at if it got there. Now it hasn't, but this 1115, 1120 level, this lines up really well with a double bottom that we made in May, as well as the 100-day moving average. So I think that there's probably has a little bit more down to go and maybe test that range. If we take a look at the seasonality here, it's actually pretty straight until the end of August. And you really see that the seasonality really starts to look good at the end of September. And remember what we talked about with Scott earlier, the market generally September is generally a pretty weak month for the market, normally bottoms in October. Looks like one of the Netflix ads, according to seasonality here, is based or it looks pretty good around the end of September. So, Yassine, maybe you do get a pop in there, but seasonality telling you it's sideways, chart here telling you we want to go a little bit lower and maybe test that level.
I do like 1065 to 1075 as a support area. And Jacob, I'm totally joking about that, by the way. But this the Netflix one looks like this is going to continue to come in. I see support potentially at 1100. I don't have the greatest confidence that we're going to get support there. Maybe initially when we first hit it, it bounces there. But I think if it fails to reverse and go back up to the 50-day SMA, the next time it visits 1100, I think we'll lose it. So I'm still thinking that we may see some more downside. Could end up going as low as the 200-day SMA on Netflix over a period of time, but that's kind of what I'm looking at here with Netflix. I think it's coming in some more.
PayPal here holding 71.5, maybe 71. I actually do see some 72.5 calls. These are calls that were bought for January, so it looks like there is some upside playing here on PayPal.
SGD. this just ripped all the way up to the pre-market high. Now, either it's going to break through and we'll have a scallop, or we'll back off from here. We could set up a cup and handle. Yep, Edward. Yep, absolutely nailed it, dude. So if we're getting a little back off in SGD now after hitting the pre-market highs, that was fantastic. What's going to be next here? SOAR, never really could get that going. Looks like VCIG still, I mean, low volume, but it's still trying to make its way back up to that regular session high. Looks like it does want to get to this pre-market high, which was 117. Still just moves very slowly right now. Meanwhile, the other ones we were looking at, SCNI, that one kind of sideways at the moment beneath its VWAP, beneath my VWAP. I know we have different prints or different levels for that. Fubo getting some support from the 65 EMA. I don't know how much, how strong the support is down here. Looks like we could end up going down to the 200 EMA as well. SLRX, that's not halting anymore. So there's that, but it's kind of just been bouncing between the 200 EMA and the VWAP all morning. And we don't really have a clear direction yet. It's just kind of sideways, more or less. STI is knifing. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Right down to the VWAP. Yes, sir. SGD, yeah, I know. This surprising. Joseph, you're thinking that AMD's headed to 181. I mean, I think that we could see that. We're getting to the point where up in that area, I expect to see the price reverse.
Dow here at the lows. Jay Rice, I know you had mentioned the earnings or the reversal that we saw in Boeing. Boeing actually reported earnings. They did initially pop here. This has done nothing but sell off today. Boeing actually went green to red here, now down 3%. Stock has actually made a pretty good recovery, but we're giving a lot back. This is a pretty bearish candle on the daily that is forming up here on Boeing. I got to think that this is dragging the Dow lower here. That is the weakest of the indices here today.
Oh, I got to do some math real quick. Okay. I'm going to see if I'm going to try something here. I'm not going to take a position, but I'm just going to just say SGD, this might find support around 145. If there's more, if it's going to go higher than the pre-market, I think it's going to come down to 145. I'm expecting, here we are right down here right now. I'm anticipating some support to kick in here. And if it does, and it reverses, then I think we print higher than 163. Massive moves on a daily basis for Newegg. Bigger moves than just today. What did we do yesterday? Oh yeah, look at that. You're right. Past 2 days. I guess last week there was some sideways action, but yeah, it's been coming off a bottom. It looks like. And now Smoke Tuna is saying VCIG, is that finally getting going here?
That is through the pre-market highs. Looks like it's trying to stop here at 120. Yeah, sorry, Jay. I meant of the Dow, NASDAQ, and SPY. I was not including the transports here, but a good point nonetheless. UPS also reporting earnings here, and they're moving lower. They moved lower on the initial report. We actually made a double bottom in the pre-market. We've snapped that. This now hunting for new lows here, ticker UPS.
What are we
actually,
thinking?
It looks like we're coming up to a possible support level at 90. We're not even that far away. We'll see if that can hold. What was that, 13?
VCIG, Smoke Tuna. Are we looking for 150 here in this one today? Just kind of curious what we're looking at here for a top or a resistance. It looks like we could, with this kind of momentum, we could run all the way up to the after hours high from last week, Friday. Looks like SOAR is trying to get going here too, but volume needs to be better.
Tell you what, Ondas has made these last few days very, very difficult for me. That is for sure.
Newegg just popped up to 45.50. And looks like SOAR is still trying to turn around here. Just needs to get better volume. SCNI, this thing now coming down to the 200 EMA. All right, so SGD went all the way through that 145 area down to VWAP. So didn't get the bounce there I was looking at.
Rhett here asking just kind of a general question here. Mentally, what is your secret for brushing it off when you sell a stock for peanuts and then it just rips up? I've had quite a few horror stories. I got two things here, and then I'll go to you, 13. Number one, I think it's very, very important to look at your thesis. And this also is why a trading journal can be so helpful, especially if you're an active trader and trade a lot of positions. Why did you get into that? Did you take the loss on it because your plan didn't work? Did you take the loss on it because maybe you exited too early? Was the price action spooking you and maybe shaking you out of position? A lot of questions in here as to why you sold it initially, but I would always benchmark that against the thesis. The other thing that I would say here is there's always going to be another opportunity.
Yep.
So if you want to compare this to something in real life, I would compare this to the early stages of girlfriends. You probably had one, you probably lost one, and it was probably emotionally devastating. But it is amazing how quickly that disappears when you find a new girlfriend. Not to compare stocks to people, but the same thing can be similarly true here. You can make a mistake on a trade, but you'll often forget about that if you make another good trade. So I think it's really important to not let that negativity compound the next trade. Remember, there will always be a new opportunity. Whether or not you take it, that's going to be up to you.
Yeah, that was going to be the big thing is that, you get out of a trade earlier, it rips. Just look at what went wrong, where your trade idea went wrong. And, maybe you can make a correction or fix what you did wrong that time, so that next time you're involved with a stock that potentially could run, you don't miss out. But yeah, to Ryan's point, that was going to be my big thing is that if you miss out on something when you sell too early, well, that's going to happen because sometimes things that you sell out, you've hit your target. You got out where you thought it would reverse. Maybe it continues going and it just it squeezes or it just gets a bunch of buyers to step in all of a sudden. But you can't beat yourself up over missing out on that because if your trade plan worked, then the only thing you have to do is pat on your back and enjoy the gains that you made. This isn't about trying to capture the entire range of the price action. This is about getting what you can get and then saying thank you and moving on.
Good stuff here. Really quick, Sassy Butterfly Chick saying we all have horror stories. I like to call it learning from my mistakes. I agree. I would say every person in here, myself, 13, and every viewer here today has at least one horror story. It's part of the game. You are in a game that is not easy. You are going to have some horror stories, and how you process that ultimately is going to determine how you do going forward. Samel here saying it's not the same for the boyfriend thing. Sorry, I only know one side of it. That was the quickest thing that I could relate to. If the example's not great, I do apologize for that, but that's the first thing that came to mind. Jay here saying I do that when I size too big. I get emotional. Jay's not alone. Me too. This is one of the reasons why I was so hell-bent on selling Ondas. I got too sized into it. When it started to move up, I really wanted to peel some of that off so it's a little bit less emotional. I'm disappointed in the action here, but because I've actually made some sales on the way up, it's a lot easier for me to heed my own advice and get over it. Big B is giving you some actionable stuff here. Journal it, learn, and grow. Try to look at losing trades as the cost of tuition for learning this job. And everyone goes through it. Everyone.
Another point. Even some of the greatest investors and traders still do this. Warren Buffett, he sold Bank of America, and I know that not everybody thinks it's the greatest bank. I don't particularly think that's the case either. But it's a great stock, pays a dividend, and now it's near all-time highs. And he sold. So you could say that he sold too early. The best of us still do it. He made a lot of money on it, but it's
part of the game.
It's just part of the game. Yeah.
All right, Dow here, still at the lows.
Don't keep a girlfriend journal. Don't do that.
Yeah. Look, I just came up with a comparison.
I know, I'm messing around.
I'm sure if you guys poke enough holes, you'll find out that it doesn't really apply. But in any case,
I'm just VCIG hit 125. It's backed off then, but it's still above VWAP.
Newegg, this is now at the highs, above 45.5.
Yes, sir. Let's see where this may end up going here. So we have a $56 print on July 11th. There's only really 2 days where we've had this, these kind of prints in recent memory, and that's the 11th and 14th. I bet if I look a lot further to the left, I'll see even more areas where this could go to. But for now, I would just say let's just keep an eye on 50, and then we could look at 56. And then maybe 62.25 after that. Actually, 62.25 I particularly like after 50. That's the low from July 27th of 2022 and the high from January 13th of 2023.
Celsius, this actually having a pretty decent day here today. This actually at the highs, and we just had a volume pop. This up 2.6% here. Celsius has unconfirmed earnings for 2 weeks from today. We'll wait to see if that gets confirmed here. I know Crow said he's taking a break, I think. This chart actually looks like it's going to try and push higher here on Celsius. I'd like to get his opinion on that one. Nice day here today, though. Nice job, Robert. 44%. Yeah, I'd be happy with that, too. Well done, boss.
Trout Bum mentioning STAI. We also have Rustum asking if MVIS bottom is in, and Florence would like to look at Rigetti after that.
Here's Rigetti. I just went to that first because that was the first thing that I saw here. These momentum trades seem to be on pause for right now. Rigetti here at multi-day lows. It sure looks to me if this keeps rolling over 14.5, 14 3/4, probably your next stop on Rigetti.
I like 15.
Okay.
Just looking to the left here from on a daily chart. You might be right about those lower those 14 prints, like 1475. That's certainly looks like it could be a level as well. I want to see what happens at 15 first, and then beneath 1475, you have the 20-day SMA at 1449. And then MVIS we wanted to look at 2, I believe.
Okay, bring that up here.
This doesn't look good. Got up to a 500-day SMA, rejected there, lost the 20-day SMA, lost the 200 and the 50-day SMAs today. My thought is that we need to start looking for a bottom here, and that bottom is either going to come at like 105 or $1.
Yep. It's exactly what I see here on MVIS.
Yeah, so if we don't get the bottom there, then we're going to be back into the penny territory again, and I think we just need to kind of wait even further. It might be 80 cents at that point if we lose $1. So my VWAP for STAI, I have that at 124. So pretty close to yours, then, Nick.
I've got it at 118.
We're also getting asked about SBET. Now, this one was getting hammered yesterday. It was looking pretty good, but this thing just got absolutely slapped. Where do I have it? There we go. Now under 20.
More continuation to the downside here today.
Yeah, but it does look like it's trying to put in a bottom here around 19. MACD is starting to show a little bit of curling. No crossing yet, but I have VWAP at 1972. That looks to be about where the resistance area was, at least this morning around 10:20 when we tried to get over that, was rejected. So looking for 1972, 1970 as that area of of resistance if we do get a curl back up.
Really quickly here, AstraZeneca CEO on CNBC right now. AstraZeneca shares are trading higher after the company reported better than expected Q2 sales results. The CFO said the company will not be significantly impacted by U.S. tariffs. line up another one where the fear was just greater than the reality. It looks like, I can't hear them, but it looks like based on the chyrons at the bottom here, that's what they were asking about on CNBC. So a little bit more color there. Ticker AZN, AstraZeneca.
Newegg still printing new highs. Shoot, I should have done this earlier, but I see a trend line. We are almost there too. If you look at the price,
yeah, I think I see it.
Yeah, you do. Holy cow!
I see it there. I tell you what, man, the trend lines arguably the best drawing, even more so than fib levels for us recently, especially on some of the movers.
They've been pretty good. So let's see Newegg get up to this trend line, and if we do touch that, I would think a rejection. Now we have seen, we did see Fubo where it popped above that and rode above that for a little while before losing it. So there's always that could happen. But I think we're going to see some interesting price action happen once we get to this trend line, and that could be at about if we don't get there in the next 5-10 minutes, and we do it later, it could be about 48 that we run into resistance on for Newegg.
Jay, what's your takeaway on the Boeing trading action here today? They had that move higher after earnings, a big reversal, kind of a bearish candle. I understand that they've moved pretty well recently, but not great here on Boeing. Let me know what you think there on Boeing. Is this buyable down here, 225?
You want to react to Nick Sanders' comment? Because I have no problem doing it.
It has to be really hard to run the show and actively trade. It is. Also, yeah, 13. I mean, I don't want to speak for 13 and criticize him or anything, but I mean, I'm sharing the screen. I'm reading the comments. I'm dealing with the producer. I'm also dealing with my Benzinga Pro team on the side here. So there's just a lot going on. What I've decided here, because I also get frustrated when I make stupid trades and end up donating money on stupid things. What I've decided is unless the setup is great and I am ready, I'm going to pass while I'm on air, because the worst thing ever is being just a little bit late because I was focusing on something else. Then I make a poor entry. Then I compound my problem by getting emotional about it. And I have to avoid all of that. I have no short-term trades here today. I didn't have any yesterday either. Yeah, it's hard for me. 13 he's more active than I am. He does a better job than I do, but it is extremely difficult for me.
And even, even though I don't have to do nearly as much as Ryan does, having to interact and look at all these different things and make assessments and talk, it takes away from managing the trades. So yes, to Ryan's point, there's either I don't do a lot of trading, or if I do a lot of trading, it's going to be, sizes I wouldn't normally take, like much smaller, just so I can get the trades in. But also I don't want to lose a lot of money if the trade doesn't work out and I'm not paying attention to it.
Here's my thing. I always talk about, I actually said it this morning when we had Scott Bauer from T3 on. I had said protecting capital should be every trader's primary goal.
Yeah.
And I feel like when I start to do too many things at once, I start to move away from my primary goal. And I can't blame anybody for that. It's not anyone's fault but my own. I am responsible for every button click that I make. So what I do is I try to put myself in a position where I don't make a bunch of stupid mistakes.
Take care, Rich. Have a good one.
My top swing right now, X-Sniper, are the rocket calls because we're up on those. The recent swings, I had talked about that. I had actually spent time closing some of those recent swings. We had a monster in Chewy. We actually had a couple of trades in Chewy that ended up working out pretty well. We had another really good one recently in Google, but a lot of those swings I'm out of right now. Market's at all-time highs here, kind of waiting for a pullback. We took a look at the SPY. Would love to have that really kind of pull back and hold the 20-day moving average. I feel a little bit better about some of that. And then the other thing, as far as putting on new swings here, a lot of it hasn't met my criteria. One of the ones that I was talking about as recently as today, I'd actually talked about this a little bit last week as well, but I still have my eye on it, is PayPal. And my plan here for PayPal was, well, if you're going to swing this, you better make sure it holds one of these support areas. Well, it didn't hold 75. It didn't hold the 200-day. Yes, we're down here trying to hold 71, 72. I got no rush on this. If this thing might break down in the afternoon, if it maybe holds this level, maybe we'll take a little swing long here on PayPal. But again, trying to mechanize this process, trying to make it as more mechanical as possible so that my job of managing my emotions is easier.
Yeah, I don't have any swings going on right now. It's just for me, it's long-term investments and day trading. I feel like we're near a market top here, and I do want to see some price action to the downside in the broader market, just to kind of cool off this run that we've had, which has been substantial. So I'm just looking for opportunities for things that are already hammered or lower price that I can pick up for a longer term position. That's kind of what I'm at right now, and I'm holding a good amount of cash for that reason, because I don't want to get myself into anything while we're at market all-time highs.
Real quickly here, Market Sniper, there is just no universe in which I can realistically be compared to Jesus. So I don't even accept that. I know you're trying to be nice, but I don't even accept that. And then the other thing here, Samel is saying, I wish you would be. Look, I do. And again, when we get a setup here that looks good, I do it. By the way, guys, right now, guys and gals, excuse me, the entire market is pulling here. SPY at the lows, NASDAQ, big yank down there. That's affecting some of those other names as well. Amazon has been brutal here today. That thing has done nothing but pound lows. Here's your look at your SPY, 636. So how about that 630 to 640 call being the top for SPY? Boy, we traded up right towards 639. So far, we've reversed. Let's see if we move down from this area here.
Yeah, for the time being, we have an engulfing candle. Just don't have the lower wick from yesterday captured, but we've got that real body right now. For this downside that we've got here, I'd be looking at 636.15. That's a previous all-time high from last Thursday. I think that's going to provide some support, and if it doesn't do there, then likely the 635.40 previous all-time high. Or wait a minute, that's actually not the previous all-time high. I accidentally moved that. I'm sorry.
Where was that? Beth Dutton Steady. Did Costco hit a bottom? Here's what we're looking at on Costco. We actually had, this is another one where we actually had a swing trade plan planned out, but it just never triggered. We didn't actually get what we were looking for here on the chart. And I will try and get this back here. There we go. There we go. Let me go to Costco here. I'll show you exactly what I mean. Here's Costco. Oh, for heaven's sakes, man. That's the other thing, folks. You're asking me about. I'm also trying to diagnose what's going on with the platform here. So here we go. So the potential swing long trigger that we were looking for here was a recapture in short order of the 200-day after this pullback from the highs. Well, we didn't get that. So now we didn't get what we had planned for. So now the new plan is to figure out, well, where is this thing likely going to firm up? Looking at the chart here, 900 looks like a fairly decent bounce spot. If you want to be a little bit more conservative, maybe back that off to 885-ish. So it's slowing down here. So maybe it's kind of reached its bottom. But looking at the chart here, I would almost like a flush. I'd like a really bad day here where Costco trades down to this area and then puts in some type of bounce, have the buyers step in a little bit. That'd make me feel a little bit better because we're testing some of that range. Maybe we'll end up trading up off that spot. So I would say here, if you forced me to come up with a yes, no answer, Beth, has it bottomed yet? I would say no. I would say look for 900 to 885 as your bottom target for Costco.
I don't think it's bottomed either. I think that you are getting a little bit of it. Well, I think that you're getting a little bit of a reversal here, especially with the candle we're getting today. The RSI has been pretty low, and when the price gets or the RSI gets down to about these levels, you do see a reversal in the stock. So I think that we are going to turn back up, recover from all the selling that it's been having since last month. But I don't think we're going to go too much higher. I would think the 950 to 960 is about where we're going to run into some resistance before we turn around and go down to the levels you were talking. I do like 900. My target for where this ends up going before we find a bottom is going to be between 860 and 875. Okay.
Really good stuff there. Really good stuff there on that target.
Yeah. So I think we are still heading lower, but I think we're just going to experience a short-term bounce because of how much selling has been happening for almost 2 months now.
SPY selling has slowed down, but it is still down there at the lows. NASDAQ, the same deal.
Newegg, oh, it almost went to that trend line. It went to 46.71 before we got a bit of a reversal candle in here, a hanging man. And then we just had the 5-minute candle we're in right now, which took it down back to the 9 EMA, the previous highs of the regular session that happened out of the gate here. So getting some support there, see if it reverses. If it doesn't, then VWAP's the next support area.
Well, that trend line once again, 13. I know I sound like a broken record, but I just can't help it. Wiss saying the entire watch list turned red. See you tomorrow. Wiss, this is a nut. We have been talking about controlling your emotions and things like this. Great tip here. I don't know about you folks, but when I see a sea of red everywhere in the market in my watch list, I like to do something else too. Right? Just kind of hold off on that. If you've got a plan and you need to watch something, that's fine. But we'll see you tomorrow, Wiss. Enjoy the rest of your day. And if you go to the course of the range, be sure to hit them straight. All right.
And I know I got to get out of here. One question to answer real quick. Joseph Schmo asking, when I cite the RSI, what time scale are you generating?
Oh God, sorry, 13. I clicked the wrong thing.
I saw that. My was like, oh no. So I'll say what time frame I'm looking at, and if I reference the RSI, it's that time frame. So usually I'm looking at a 5-minute chart, and when I'm referencing the RSI, it's on that chart. But when I move to a daily, I'll say if I'm looking at a daily chart, and if I reference the RSI there, then I am referencing the daily RSI. So I'm sorry if I get unclear at times, but just ask me and I'll clarify for you if I get a little confusing. But folks, it's time for me to go so that we can make room for Anne-Marie. Get your options trades ready. You're going to have a great time with her. I'll see you folks tomorrow. Take care, everybody.
Good stuff, 13, here today. Have a great rest of your day, and we will see you tomorrow. 13's departure does leave room for Anne-Marie. We'll check in with her. Anne-Marie, how you doing here today? Muted.
That look of disgust. I love it.
It's not disgust. Look, Anne-Marie, I'll be honest. We've been battling problems all day here today. It would not be the first. It's not going to be the last. I really hope we can get a day off from battling problems at some point, but that day is not today, I'm afraid. So it is what it is. What do you got for us coming up here?
So a couple of different things. I got a note from you on what we might be looking at from energy. So I have a few of those, but I do want to give you an update on that Eli Lilly trade that we talked about. The last time we were together, I said, hey, I think it's headed lower. And so we had a 700, 686, 60 put butterfly. We also had the call butterfly for the 15th. That was at 115. That's down to 85 cents. So if you did take that, probably time to cover that. It's not quite 50%, but we are continuing to fade. That put spread is up about 25%. And I think it might have a little bit more to go, just as a heads up, if anybody's interested. It's a quick strike trade. It's only on for 2 weeks. 700, 680, 660 puts, right? So I buy 700, I sell 2 680s, and then I buy 660. And the current risk is about $1.08 if you're brand new. And if you have been in, it looks good, still has time to run. I like it pretty well. If we want to talk about, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, just as regards to Eli Lilly, so I wasn't sure if you were getting ready to move on. Do you take anything away, from the news we got from NVO, Novo Nordisk today about Wegovy and Ozempic?
You know what? I don't know what that news is. If you could help enlighten me, because I'm just doing seasonality.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So this is just based on seasonality. Okay. So I'm almost wondering if there's a sympathy play here. The news here, Novo Nordisk shares are trading lower after the company lowered its 2025 sales outlook, citing reduced growth expectations for Wegovy and Ozempic in the U.S.
Interesting.
So I'm almost wondering if some of that bleeds over to Eli Lilly.
Oh, I would say certainly. I would say certainly that's a thought for sure. I am trading the seasonality event that says, it should have itself a pretty good fade in general. And that news can't be good. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, just figured I'd ask because that was fresh here this morning.
Absolutely. Let's take a look at LNG. So, full disclosure, I'm a very big proponent of nat gas. I feel like next to oil, it is the next most resource, and I would call it renewable because it gets flared off every day. So there's a lot of it. And I'm super bullish on that. I do like LNG. It's got general upside growth. We do have earnings. So I've got a couple of different trades depending on how aggressive you are about the trade coming in on the 7th. So let's just take a look at that. So a couple of things. Don't know why it's saying not traded. Okay, there we go. So the first thing we could do, let me tell you why I'm putting on the trade. I do want everyone to learn from the things that we do here together. And so here's the thing. In this very big pocket of sideways action that literally has been going since the 15th of April, we have a range that's got a low of 220 and a high of 245. We're coming into an event that could give us a reflexive motion. The goal with these trades is when the price action opens and you see it move into the upper edges of the targets, you just want to get out. The target edges really are 220 and 245. Those are the tops of the zones. Now, you might say, well, Anne-Marie, why are you putting these right here? Isn't your middle target normally the target you want to go after? And the answer is yes, only that makes the butterfly very skinny. And the skinnier the butterfly is, the harder it is to make money. So we widen out the butterfly, meaning the edges are further apart, and it might be a little bit more expensive, but the return statistically is much more advantageous. So the August 15 LNG put butterfly for downside pressure, if it has a reflexive motion, is 220 to 210 to 200. So I buy 220, I sell 2 of the 210s, and then I buy a 200. It gives me $1,000 of potential upside, less the $70 I pay for it, so $930. And that's the exposure there if you take a put. If you take a call, I have that edge at 245. I think it's going to collapse there. But the reason that I don't have it at the 240 is that it's so close to 234. Excuse me. It's so close to the actual 234 price, the butterfly gets much more expensive. So I put it at 245. We buy 245. We sell 255s. We buy 265s. And then the last one is for the trader that says, I just think we're going to have a big move. No matter what it is, I think it's a big move. You can buy the strangle, which is the long call at 255 and the long put at 210. That's going to give you, if it's a very big move, you're going to be in Fat Cat City, right? If not, it's going to lose a lot of its premium, probably more than half right after the trade. So in order to hedge, I like the double butterfly. Total outlay is less than 200. The spread is 1,000 wide. easily, if the price action just moves to the top of the edge or the bottom of the edge, we're going to make ourselves 2x easily in the range. Now, that doesn't mean you go out and bet the farm, but it does mean you could take a couple of these and say, you know what, we'll see how it goes here, and just watch your risk.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask here. Is this a situation where you take both butterflies to give yourself exposure to both sides of the move? Okay, great. So you don't necessarily have to pick one or the other. I suppose you could if you feel strongly about that, but this is a good way to mitigate that risk. And the other things that I say here about strangles or straddles, whichever one that you put on, given that it's coming up to football season here, my favorite saying is that these are either touchdowns or turnovers. So you're either going to get a full 7 points or you're going to turn the ball over to the other team. So if that's not something that you want to expose yourself to, perhaps playing the butterfly or some other means might be a little bit more palatable for your risk profile. Okay, good stuff there on LNG. Did you have any more? Should we ask the chat?
I do. Sitting in what we're staring down, let's take a look at Exxon.
Okay, this also got mentioned earlier. I didn't mention this to you, but someone else in there, I can't remember who it was. Someone mentioned Exxon, so this is perfect.
I've got Exxon and I have OKE. So those two.
Ooh, OKE. That's not one I think we've ever looked at before. I'm excited to get a new issue on here. Okay, great.
Yeah. So we also have earnings with, earnings are on Friday here for Exxon. Exxon's got a very jagged seasonality event up ahead. And so, it's possible that it moves all over the place. And so see the big, fat, ugly range that we're staring down. We've got some things going on here. We've got inputs, which allow us for capitalizing expenditures and investing more in the stream that gets folks to distribution and production, refining, and all of that. And so we've got increased inputs there that could weigh on Exxon and, of course, LNG into earnings. That's something we have to think about. But in general, price action stays pretty sideways. My other seasonality software shows it about half and half, so it's a coin toss event. So for coin toss events that are sticking within the range, I like the Iron Condor. So let's talk about that one first.
Okay.
And I did not mean to have January in there. Let's put December. So we have the December Iron Condor, 130 to 140, and then 100 to 90. You might be saying, whoa, that put spread is a little bit close to where prices are right now. I'll give you that. But price action to 100 is really, it feels it's very far away to me. And if it tests there, it's very likely to bounce off of the floor of that formation. And so that's why I've got it there. These Iron Condors are a place for you to slowly make money while you're doing your other things. You let your money work for you. And if we put alerts, that's also a very key thing, folks. If you take the Iron Condor, you must put an alert up at the top of resistance and down at the bottom of support so you don't move in crazy ways through the chart. Okay. I would not be surprised in fourth quarter, if all goes well, that we get back to our old highs, because the fourth quarter is very bullish in general. That's why I've got the 130 strike all the way up here. The next thing that we can look at is, all right, let's play our touchdown or turnover. And the touchdown or turnover is the strangle. I love that. I'm totally stealing it.
No problem.
Is August the 15th, and I buy a 115 and I buy a 107. Now, that's pretty expensive because of volatility into the earnings event. But if it works out, say price action moves, it really needs to be above 117 to be a winner. So price action needs to move above this area, fill the gap. So my thought would be, listen, set an alert for 118 to 119. If it gets in there and you're along the call butterfly, get out. Anne-Marie, but what if it doesn't, is all I have to say. Just what if it doesn't? And think about what if it doesn't versus what if it does, because managing risk, of course, is most important. And you hear so many great guests that Ryan has on here, and all of them talk about managing your risk. Now, let's take a look at the butterflies. Same sort of thing. We're looking for a 110 to 100 to 90. That's that butterfly. So I'm buying 110. I'm selling 100s.
Unknown call.
And I'm buying, God, this always happens to me.
Me too. I actually got a spam call from an unknown caller earlier on the show.
And you buy the 90s, right? And that's $1.44. Again, you get to that 110 put, you're done. You just close it out. If it's a nice quick strike and you look at it and you go, you know what? I just made 50%. That's incredible. What if you made 50% on every trade? It'd be absolutely fantastic. So I'm just saying, don't hold out for the big run. These markets are very choppy and everybody's buying the dip. So if it falls into this area, take your profit, run for the hills. Same thing on the call, the 115, 120, 125. Now, if you've got a keen eye, you might go, Anne-Marie, this spread is only $5 wide. Why so tight? Well, two things. One, I think it stalls out at 120 because we can see the gap fill up there. And I do like to put these butterflies at the middle strike, but getting up over the 115, it's probably going to trap short sellers who will buy to cover, and then the upside will be very, very nice. The second reason is that the pricing mechanisms inside of the chains didn't really give us some favorable pricing in that zone at all. So the 115, one of the 115s, two of the 120s, one of the 125s. As soon as it starts getting into that 118 area, say bye-bye and take your profits. Total expenditure for this, $200. And so you would get, if this goes up into 118 before August the 15th, you're probably going to make about 50% here. If this moves into the 100 area, you're going to be making a lot more. So you might guess that I am thinking they're going to have some numbers that pull prices in based on capital expenditures they're going to have to put on their books.
Okay. All right. Really good breakdown there on XOM. Really quickly here, Fellow says, where can we find more of Anne-Marie's content? As mentioned here in the chat, Anne-Marie has her own chat room in Benzinga Pro where you can ask her questions, get a lot of trades like this, as well as get check-ins on open trades and the market behavior. Anne-Marie is also part of the Trade Accelerator service with Tim Melvin, where she juices some of Tim's I guess we'll call them value and momentum picks. So Anne-Marie's all over the place. Reach out to our team. We can help you find the best fit.
Awesome. All right, let's look at OKE. I'm saying OKE because I have no idea how to say the name of this company. No freaking idea.
One okay? No, that can't be. Yeah, I see why you can't call it OKE.
I don't
Onioke, one okay?
I don't know how to say it. I don't know. But
here's what I do know. It goes ex-dividend in 3 days and it has earnings in 6 days, which is Monday after the close. So
and
we'll go with
that's
that.
all we care about. So the very interesting thing is, like many of the energy names, we have been compressing since April. So they're waiting for something. It could be, what is the tariff situation going to water itself out like? These guys, their capital expenditures are huge. They use a lot of industrial components, steel, copper, all those sorts of things. They've been really, because we don't have smelting in the ways that we maybe should. This is just, they've all been sitting here going, all right, there's going to be a shoe to drop. We got to let things shake out. So again, these guys, I like this company very much. I think it's really well run. It's really had a fall that's, what is that? 50% of its rise from 93 to 117 has been given back, and now it's sitting on the floor of this formation. What could the chart do? Well, it could break to the top of the range. We still don't have any closure on what tariff expenditures are going to do. It could come to the bottom of the range and also bounce. And so if I were a betting man, I would wait until after the earnings, and if it failed and came down into the 77 to 78 area, I'd buy a call spread and let it run up the chain into the top of this congestion zone as we wait it out. But if you're thinking something differently, let's have a look at all the different ways that we can trade this. One, you like trading both sides of the range, the strangle for 90 and 75, right? It's only $7 from 90. They are, full disclosure, they're only pricing in a $5 move. A $5 move is all they're pricing. So 88 would be the top of the range. Now, here's a lovely storyboard. If it goes straight up into 88, this 90 call is going to be worth way more than it is right now, but you're going to have to get rid of it immediately, because if it doesn't breach 90, time decay is going to get in your way, and that time decay is going to eat away at that profit. So if you take this before earnings, I mean the day after they report, I don't know if they report in the afternoon before market, I don't know, but right after they report, if they report after hours, when it spikes, you're done, right? If it fades, you're done. Now, if you look at the butterfly, we've got the 80, 75, again, tight formations because the market action is itself compressed. That's 63 cents. 180, 275s, 170 on the put side. And then on the call side, one at 85, two at 90 short, and then one at 95. If it were me, I would be waiting for the fade and then go after the bounce. And what I would do is go into October, because September is normally a little bit crummy. And if it fades, that would be the spread I would go after. I would go after the 80-90 spread, and that would give me, I would imagine that if this price action fades and I take the 80-90 spread, instead of it being $4, it might be $2. And then we'll be running up into the areas of the chart that might be more advantageous to price as we go into the latter months.
Okay, and that does report after hours, by the way, on Monday. So you're likely not going to be able to close that till Tuesday. Would you advise that folks set like a limit sell order just to make, just to see if it gets filled, maybe right out of the open? You're talking about closing this as fast as possible.
Yes.
Once you're filled, might you also want to set an exit order?
That is a fantastic recommendation. I like it. Try for the 50%.
Mm-hmm.
Try to get a 50% return on that for nice and easy. Moves up very, very nicely. Again, if it were me, I would wait post earnings and then initiate my trade with some time on my side into the future.
Okay. Really good stuff there on that one. Do you have any more? We do have a request here from the chat.
I did see the request. ASML?
You got it.
All right. So I don't know what these guys do. Sorry.
They do lithography. So they make the wafers for all these chip companies.
Oh, very
They are
interesting.
absolutely tied at the hip to these chip companies, but it's not an individual company. Photo, that's the leader in, that's what I should have said. It's the leader in photolithography systems used in the manufacturing of semiconductors.
Okay, so they would probably use silver, copper, silicon. What else? That's very industrial materials based.
Mm-hmm.
And so we could have some trouble here. Also, seasonality looks horrific. Seasonality looks like this thing runs downward into the close of the year. Easily doesn't start lifting until November. Let me check my other platform. Let's take a look at that.
Yeah, I'm looking at that here too. Honestly, Anne Marie, it looks like the dead drop date. Oh man, this is so perfect for what we have been talking about. It looks like the absolute dead drop date there on the seasonality is October 18th.
Yep.
So it sure looks like from October 18th, maybe even through the end of the year and into next year, it has pretty good seasonality.
Yeah.
I would target October 18th through February 16th of next year.
Yeah, that's a great thought. And in the meantime, you can do a couple of things. If you go, well, that looks terrible. It's been a while since I've traded these guys. If we take a look at, all right, this is supposed to be a train wreck into the end of October. Let's trade in the direction of that train wreck, shall we? So a couple of things that we can do as my platform freezes.
I got to say, platform has been behaving a lot better here
today. Right?
Your camera's good. Your voice is good. The screen is legible. So one hiccup, I'm going to try and not blame it for that, to be honest.
Yeah. So, So here it is. It's just, yes, I adjusted some settings on my screen. I pulled down the resolution so everything would pop just a little bit more, a little bit bigger. And then I did what you said and pulled back some of the resources. And so, wow, there are a lot of people with call action is almost 2-to-1 here, but seasonality looks terrible. Okay, so I have no idea what, okay, I see. All right. So let's have a peek. Platform is telling me that it did not like all the things I was doing to it. Okay, so what we can stare down is, one, we've got trouble on the horizon. So we can take a short put, use October as the time to take off the long September, December. Crudsickles. All right. Here's what we can do. We can go to December.
That's 2026.
Oh, sorry. Thank you, friend. Thank you.
All we had to do was start praising the software here, and it was like, oh, I'll show you. I'll show you.
Gremlin City. All right. Come on, honey. Come on. Just love what we have. Dead air. Yeah. So my thought is what we want to do is put on an October put spread. And we want to put it on the cheap. Yay, here comes October. We want to put it on the cheap and see what we can get. This thing moves at a clip. It's got $100 of premium attached to the implied volatility event. And so they are thinking 620. So let's do 650 and see what that spread is going to be and see if we can get it on the cheap. I think that would be really nice. All right, we've got the 650 to 630. Well, that didn't do it. All right, so the 600 to 620, not the numbers I said, but it's what the machine gave me. So 620 to 600 gives us $2.55. If we go inside that implied vol and we do 640 to 620 instead of 620 to 600, it's going to be a little more expensive, but it's going to give us about a 30% higher chance of it actually going into the money. And it's well inside of this range. They are pricing in a lot of potential movement in this chart. So I like that put. And what we can do, person that asked this, once October rolls around, we'll start looking at long side pressure events. But this one, likely to be a monster money maker.
Okay, I will try and add this for my list. We will look back at that when the time comes. Anne-Marie, really good stuff here today. We are, in fact, out of time.
Yes.
Have a good one, and we'll see you on Friday, okay?
Thank you so much, Ryan. See you, everybody.
You're welcome. That is Anne-Marie Band. Again, be sure to check out her Room and Pro and the Trade Alerts Accelerator. That service is going to be really, really awesome. Folks, we're going to Paul Meeks next for Tech Tune-Up. I'm going to send you over there. You don't have to do anything. Have a good rest of your Tuesday, and we'll see you tomorrow. Take care.